Chapter-781 he came. In fact, the vast majority of dangerous things exist, and this danger is mutual. For example, when a ninja fights on the battlefield, he will bring danger to the enemy. Likewise, he will also be in danger and may be killed. Or, for example, when Luhan leaves Konoha, Konoha lacks the superpower to guard, and may be attacked by the superpower of the hostile force, but on the other hand, if the hostile superpower wants to attack Konoha, he must first leave the ninja village he is guarding. Then his ninja village will also be in danger of being beaten. If Hanzo leaves a Megakure village to attack Konoha, then a Megakure village is in danger. In fact, Hanzo often leaves a Megakure village to fight outside. Most of them are in the Country of Rain. The Country of Rain is very small. Hanzo can go back anytime he wants, and it doesn't take much time to travel at his speed, so he doesn't have much scruples, but going to Konoha is different. It will take at least 4 or 5 days to come back and forth, and this is still under the circumstance that there are no other delays. If Hanzo is really going to fight Konoha, he will definitely tell him the news of my arrival in the Land of Rain. Will he leave with confidence? He will definitely be like me, make arrangements before leaving, and dig a trap for me to jump in. Quote. Luhan ran wildly, sneering in his heart. No matter what, Hanzo would never have thought of what he was going to do. A Megakure village, a Sin Forbearance village shrouded in cloudy drizzle. Most of the buildings here are made of steel. There are steel buildings standing in the village, and metal pipes are deconstructed everywhere. It looks full of steampunk style. The metal smelting industry in a Megakure village is very developed, which is due to there are many metal mines in the Country of Rain, and it is precisely because there are many metal mines that they belong to war resources, so the Country of Rain is always in war. It's all about the money. In the center of a Megakure village, inside a steel high-speed railway. The empty and huge office has a warehouse feel, with gray metal structures everywhere. There were very few furnishings in the office. Hanzo stood on the open balcony at the southernmost end of the office, leaning on the metal railing and looking out at the drizzle outside. It has been confirmed that Hengguang went directly to the camp of Konoha's Second Army after entering the Land of Rain. A deep voice appeared in the distance behind Hanzo. Hanzo knew without looking that it was Black Zetsu. Will he take the opportunity to attack a Megakure village? Hanzo asked without looking back. If you let him know that you're not in a Megakure village, he'll probably do it, but he can't possibly know. Black Zetsu stopped 2 meters behind Hanzo. A dark shadow enveloped him. However, you should make some arrangements so that even if he comes, he will never come back. Quote. If he really dares to fight a Megakure village, that's fine. Hanzo squinted slightly, hatred flashing in his eyes. You'd better not be careless. Hengguang's strength is still growing. He is stronger than the last time you lost to him. Black Zetsu reminded. No matter how powerful he is only one person. Don't worry, I will not despise any opponent, but, because of him alone. Hanzo didn't say anything, but the meaning was self-evident. He really hopes that the cold light will come, and even if he is not in a Megakure village, a Megakure village can leave the cold light behind and kill him. Hanzo has such confidence. I have sent someone to inform Onoki that he will not come to the Land of Rain to join you. To prevent being detected by Konoha, he will go directly to the Land of Fire. Black Zetsu said in a low voice. When are you going to hit the road? 6 hours later. Hanzo said an accurate time. I have to make arrangements first to prevent the cold light from attacking. Okay, I'll come back to you in 6 hours. Black Zetsu said, taking a few steps back and disappearing into the darkness. Hanzo also disappeared on the balcony. He first went to a Megakure Anbu to make an explanation, and then called all the elite ninjas of Jonin and above in the Megakure village for a 2-hour meeting. He is adjusting the layout of a Megakure village, so that the defensive structure of a Megakure village becomes loose on the outside and tight on the inside. After the meeting, he also sent people to leave the Megakure village and go to the Megakure Legion station, informing some Megakure strong men to secretly return to the Megakure village, and the Megakure Legion also turned into a defensive state and would not launch any attacks in the near future. Hanzo is laying a trap. Because he knew that Hokage, the third generation, could not come to the land of rain. Even if Han Guang wanted to fight a megacre village, at most he could lead a small group of masters. This was really no threat. Enter a megacre village, but it is difficult to go out. Although everything is only possible, whether Hangguang will take time to fight a megacre village while looking for Sarutobi Hiruzen, no one knows, but Hanzo has made a very extreme arrangement. He doesn't care how many people will die in a megacre village, only Hangguang come to die. Late at night. In another hour, Hanzo will be leaving. He had already made the arrangements, and was giving the best explanation to several cronies in the office. He was still a little worried, so he asked him personally. And since the death of Captain Anbu, Yan, there has been no one in a megacre village who can completely reassure Hanzo, not because of their loyalty, but because of their ability to do things. As for the experienced older generation of powerhouses, there is no such thing in a megacre village. In the environment of a megacre village, very few ninjas can live to old age, and even if there are a few, they are not strong enough. Here he is. A deep voice suddenly came from the dark corner of the office. Hanzo frowned suddenly, and waved his hand to signal a few cronies to step back. After they left, Black Zetsu walked out of the darkness and stood under the dim light. Cold light? Hanzo asked in a cold voice. Well, it's him, Black Zetsu continued. He's just around the village of a megacre. He's been moving, and his motive is unknown. Good job. Hanzo bit Kiba, raised his left hand and looked at the puppet prosthesis. Okay. It seems that he really intends to hit me in a megacre village. With Han Guang's prudence, it is impossible for him to rashly attack a megacre village. Black Zetsu said, this time, it should be just for reconnaissance, or to find Sarutobi Hiruzen, but this is your chance. What do you mean? Hanzo looked back suddenly at Black Zetsu. You can take the initiative, he's out there. Black Zetsu said. Chapter-782 Ultimate Dangerous A Megacre Village _ Hanzo stared at Black Zetsu, and gradually revealed a sneer. If it wasn't for the cooperation, he really wanted to slap Black Zetsu with a big mouth. Take the initiative to attack the cold light. Brain is broken. Course, if Hanzo leads the megacre powerhouses to attack, Han Guang is not an opponent, but he can't beat Han Guang. Can he still run away? Do you think the Hiraishin technique is a joke? Hanzo is now suspicious of Black Zetsu's motives for saying this. It's just a suggestion. Seeing that Hanzo's face was wrong, Black Zetsu explained, if you're not sure, you don't have to do it, and just follow the previous plan. Black Zetsu's words are thorny. Humph. Hanzo snorted coldly. Black Zetsu hasn't told him the location of Konoha's treasure house yet, and he can't turn against Black Zetsu because of this kind of thing. If I lead someone to actively pursue and kill Hangguang, with Hangguang's escape ability, 9 times out of 10, he will run away, and this will reveal that I already know about him in the land of rain, and he will be prepared. Not only will he not come to fight a megacre village, but maybe he will go directly to Konoha to arrange it. Without giving me a chance to attack Konoha, this is not feasible. Quote. As the leader of a village and a generation of Zeons, Hanzo, who is known as a demigod, naturally has extraordinary wisdom and vision, and the analysis of the situation is also justified. Black Zetsu didn't say much, he just suggested it. I have already made arrangements. Whether Hangguang is here to investigate or look for traces of Sarutobi Hiruzen, it doesn't matter. Hanzo walked to the balcony, looking at the rainy night outside, and said proudly, as long as he dares to attack a megacre village, he must die here. It's fine if you think it's okay. Black Zetsu said in a low voice. You don't believe it? Hanzo glanced at Black Zetsu. I can't believe it or not, I just hope you don't underestimate the cold light. Black Zetsu said. I never despise any opponent. Hanzo said absolutely and loudly. Black Zetsu didn't say anything more, in fact he was still a little worried. Originally, the intention of Uchiha Madara's plan this time was to weaken Konoha's strength so that it could last longer. If Hangguang died, or the Konoha treasure house was robbed, it would be fine. Konoha's strength will be weakened, but if the strength of a Megakure village is weakened at the same time, then this plan will be meaningless, and the secret of Sarutobi Hiruzen's life will be exposed. Black Zetsu's worries are not unreasonable. The reason is that the cold light grows too fast. It seems that every time he makes a shot, his strength is different, getting stronger and stronger. The movement is getting bigger and bigger. However, it was Black Zetsu who thought too much. What Hanzo said was right. Han Guang attacks a Megakure village alone, he will surely die. Although a Megakure village is not comparable to the 5 major ninja villages, it is not something you can fight. Although there are only about 2,000 ninjas left behind in a Megakure village, it is more than nearly 3,000 ninjas when Iwagakure was attacked, and 4 left behind by Konoha today. There are more than 1,000 ninjas, the quantity is much worse, but the quality is higher. Every ninja in a Megakure village has been squeezed for talent, and all kinds of cruel training have allowed them to exert their potential to the limit. Ninjas with the same talent can only become elite chunin in Konoha village and jonin in a Megakure village, although the average life expectancy of ninjas in a Megakure village is not as good as that of the 5 major countries, but the fighting power of ninjas with the same talent is stronger than that of a Megakure. Is even more terrifying is that there are many vicious and brutal people in a Megakure village, and there are many people who are not afraid of death. Once the dead soldiers are crushed by the enemy's numbers on the frontal battlefield, because they don't know how to retreat, the entire army is usually destroyed. Therefore, few forces generally send dead soldiers to fight on the frontal battlefield, because dead soldiers are not used at all. But if the dead are used to protect, even Hanzo didn't dare to single out the group of dead men under him, because they were fearless and lifeless ninjas were always the most terrifying. You really want to compare it, not counting Hanzo and Onoki, just say the 2,000 ninjas left behind in a Megakure village and the nearly 3,000 ninjas left in Iwagakure village at that time. In terms of comprehensive combat power, Iwagakure village is stronger. After all, there are many people, and Waho and Dion are second only to the most powerful beings, but from the perspective of protecting ninja village, a Megakure village is stronger. The village of Iwagakure is known as the most difficult ninja village to break, because there is natural danger, but the natural danger does not have any defensive power for the strong. When Luhan attacked Iwagakure village, Lao Ai restrained Onoki, so it was equivalent to that. Onoki was not in Iwagakure village at that time, and Luhan led his people to fight Iwagakure village, which had no superpowers, but only a few hundred people were killed in that way. That's all. Luhan was also hit by Susanoo and was seriously injured. If he hadn't run fast, he would definitely have died inside. A Megakure village with stronger defense. In fact, a Megakure village has strong guardian ability, but it is not resistant to fighting. If Luhan attacked Iwagakure village alone and Onoki was restrained, he would have killed hundreds of people at most, and then he would have been killed. And if Luhan attacked a Megakure village alone, he would have died faster, but a Megakure the number of people who died in the village will be more. I am afraid that there will be more than 1,000 people dead. Differences in the Megakure dead man. They are strong because they are not afraid of death, but this is also a disadvantage. They are so afraid of death that they don't even understand how to avoid their edge. Luhan was in Iwagakure at the time, and it is difficult to kill people in the later stage, because Iwagakure ninjas can hide and jointly display their forbearance. If you know that you will die, you will temporarily retreat. The dead are not afraid of death, they will not retreat, and more will die naturally. Therefore, if the Zeon fights a Megakure village, the probability of death will be higher, and correspondingly, a Megakure will die more people. To sum up, the defensive feature of Iwagakure village is to defend against danger and can hold the enemy. Iwagakure ninjas are good at defense. They can drag the enemy at the least cost and then kill the enemy, while the defensive feature of a Megakure village is 2 words, dangerous. Ultimate danger. One is to defend against the enemy, trapping and killing the enemy like a quagmire. One is to attack and defend the enemy, like a storm to attack and kill. Outside a Megakure village, Luhan was speeding forward under the rain curtain. The blood-colored mist covered his body. He was investigating the external defense layout of a Megakure village and whether Hanzo was in a Megakure village. A Megakure village, he is sure to fight. But he won't fight alone. Chapter 0783-Confluence. The night was thick, and no moonlight could be seen. It was a very dark night. The drizzle that had been falling all day turned into a heavy rain in the middle of the night. Luhan changed his clothes because he was in place. He moved too fast and changed his clothes. It is not meaningful. In the village of a Megakure, the fire was sparse. Compared with Iwagakure village, or Konoha, a Megakure village is more difficult to infiltrate. That's what they do. Reconnaissance counter reconnaissance, assassination counter assassination. They are the most professional. In this case, Luhan is not good to infiltrate a Megakure village rashly. Luhan only wandered outside a Megakure village, using the insight map to detect the arrangement of ninjas in a Megakure village from multiple angles. Luhan did not detect Hanzo, because the name of Yuhi was not him, but Black Zetsu. Since Black Zetsu has no intention to harm Luhan actively, the insight map will not show his strength level. Black Zetsu should know that I can detect it. Luhan thought to himself, he was just guessing, so he couldn't be sure. No one but Luhan knew the true role of the insight map. White Zetsu, who had the most contact with Luhan, only speculated that Luhan's sensing radius was 5 kilometers. As for how to sense it, White Zetsu didn't know. Black Zetsu is in a Megakure village, which makes Luhan's heart happy. This shows that his previous speculations are correct. With Black Zetsu's ability, I should be able to detect my existence. He told Hanzo that Hanzo will. Luhan spent nearly an hour scouting outside a Megakure village before fleeing away. He had to wait for Hanzo to make a decision. Hanzo was in a Megakure village, so he really had no chance at all. Hanzo's strength was not much weaker than him. And I heard that he has installed a puppet prosthesis, and his strength is a bit stronger. Late at night, Hanzo and Black Zetsu quietly leave the village of a Megakure and head straight for the Land of Fire. Black Zetsu will not give Hanzo any military help, but he must follow Hanzo, so that Hanzo can feel at ease. Hanzo is a very suspicious person, very careful and does not despise the enemy. Black Zetsu wants Hanzo to attack Konoha, so had to do it. With Black Zetsu leading the way, Hanzo avoided Luhan perfectly, so that Luhan did not detect the time and route of his departure. Before I knew it, it was dawn. In the southeastern part of the Rain Country, Luhan came to a bamboo forest. Since Konoha came here, Luhan has not rested for several days. According to his plan, he will not attack a Megakure until 3 days later, so there is plenty of time. Luhan found a huge bamboo in the bamboo forest, dug out a bamboo house, ate something in it, and then began to rest. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, it was night again. Luhan woke up and ate something. He rushed to a Megakure village full of energy to continue the investigation. He wants to be sure, has Hanzo gone? The result of the investigation is that Hanzo has left. Luhan has a basis for this conclusion. First, the deployment of troops in a Megakure village has changed, becoming loose on the outside and tight on the inside, with a complete defensive and counterattack layout. Luhan made a simple estimate. With his current strength, if he directly rushes into a Megakure village, if you don't last an hour, you will die in battle. And because of the change in the defense layout, a Megakure village has become more easily invaded, and some loopholes have appeared. It was these loopholes that Luhan sneaked into the village of a Megakure and walked around, but never found Hanzo and Black Zetsu. It seems that the two left together. The possibility is more than 90%, as for the remaining 10%. Also maybe it was the scheming Black Zetsu who arranged Hanzo underground, so Luhan didn't detect it. But this possibility is very low. Uchiha Madara painstakingly designed so much. Is it for the cold light to attack the Megakure village? And then take the opportunity to kill him? Is it possible? Impossible. Whole world knows that with the technique of Master Hiraishin of cold light, you can use people and objects to tie him down and keep him from retreating, but if he really wants to escape, no one in this world can keep him. At the same time, in the land of fire, the cool wind blows, and the night is thick. After a day and a night of traveling, Hanzo reached the northwest region of the land of fire. Under the guidance of Black Zetsu, he entered a valley. This valley is where Hanzo and Onoki meet. If Onoki does not come, Hanzo will never go to work. Dead attack on Konoha. Speaking of which, in this attack on Konoha, Onoki was the main force. One hand, Onoki hated Konoha and Hangwang to the core. On the other hand, Iwagakure had been robbed of the treasure house before. Although Daimyo of the Land of Earth provided another sum of money to the village of Iwagakure, it could not make up for the previous loss, so Onoki wanted to rob the Konoha treasure house and made up for Iwagakure's previous losses. So when it comes to attacking Konoha, Hanzo reluctantly agrees after hesitating and weighing it, while Onoki is very positive. This time Hanzo came alone, and Black Zetsu didn't count him, so he wouldn't make a move. And Onoki is not alone, he will bring some Iwagakure strong. The valley under the moon, the creek gurgling. How long do we have to wait? Hanzo said impatiently, standing by the stream. He was still full of energy and impatient in his heart after rushing all day and night. For him, the attack on Konoha, or don't do it as soon as possible. Otherwise, what if the time dragged on and Hangwang returned to Konoha? Before dawn, Onoki will arrive. Black Zetsu said hoarsely, you can rest assured that this matter will never go wrong. In addition, all the actions of Hangwang in the Land of Rain are watched by ninjas in the black market. If he's suddenly returning to the Land of Fire, I will definitely inform you in advance. Quote. Hanzo glanced at Black Zetsu, snorted coldly, and seemed a little disbelieving. Can you give advance notice? Who can be faster than the cold light in the black market? What Hanzo didn't know was that the black market ninja that Black Zetsu said was not true. He was referring to the countless white Zetsu who could monitor the entire ninja world at the same time. 4 hours later, Black Zetsu, who had disappeared for a while, suddenly appeared by the stream, and said in a low voice, "Come on." Hanzo already felt it, and turned his head to look north of the valley. There was a high cliff over there, but at first, a short figure wearing a hat appeared out of thin air, and then 8 figures appeared in a row with, hoo, all of which were much taller than the figure with the bamboo hat. You don't have to look clearly to know that this small figure is Tsuchikage, Onoki, the 3rd generation of Iwagakure village. Chapter-784 must die without a burial. Onoki's height has always been ridiculed by people. He is really too short. To say that a man is 1.6 meters tall is already short, but Onoki is only 1.3 meters tall. Normally, a 10-year-old boy would be short. There is so high. Although he is small, no one dares to underestimate Onoki's strength. He inherited the technique of Jinten particle style from the 2nd generation of his teacher, Tsuchikage, which is even more frightening. However, Onoki will rarely use Jinten particle style in war, because using Jinten particle style consumes a huge amount of chakra. Onoki can only be used once, and the chakra will be bad after use, although it will not immediately affect Onoki's combat power, but without the killer, Onoki will be easier to kill. Lord Onoki. Lord Hanzo. Good luck meeting. Master Hanzo came alone. Hanzo and Onoki formally met by the creek. After 2 courtesies, Onoki turned his eyes away and seemed a little dissatisfied, because Hanzo had never practiced with him directly, and it was arranged by White Zetsu and Black Zetsu. Onoki this time he brought people, but Hanzo didn't bring them. To tell the truth, before I set off, I found traces of Hangwang, cruising outside my Omegakure village, with bad intentions. Hanzo had already thought of his words, Hangwang may raid Omegakure village. If I recruit more people before come, I'm afraid there will be an accident. Oh, Onoki was stunned, then very puzzled. You have found out that Hangwang has bad intentions towards Omegakure village, how dare you come? What a guts. I've already made a lot of arrangements in the village, even if I don't personally take charge. If Hangwang really dares to do something to Omegakure village, he will definitely die without a place to be buried. Hanzo said this proudly, which made Onoki a little unhappy. Because Iwagakure village was robbed by Han Guang. At that time, Onoki was led away by Lao Ai, and Han Guang succeeded. Since Han Guang can rob Iwagakure village, he can't rob you of Omegakure village. Are you saying that Iwagakure is not as good as your Omegakure? Humph. Onoki snorted, not saying anything. He just felt that Hanzo's words were thorny, but he didn't think that Hanzo was talking wild words. If he arranged it in advance, with the strength of Hangguang, he would really die if he went. If Iwagakure village had been arranged in advance, Hangguang would have died. Since Hanzo has left people to deal with Hangguang, it can be regarded as letting those people contribute. Originally, when Hangguang was on the front line of the Land of Rain, when he attacked Konoha, it was Omegakure village who took the risk. Omegakure village takes the risk, and Iwagakure village has more people, as it should be. Should we rest first, or head to Konoha right away? Black Zetsu, who was standing beside him, said in a low voice. Go on the road first. Onoki said immediately, let's go over there first, scout early and launch an attack early. Hanzo agreed without saying a word. Crowd left the valley and hurried away in the direction of Konoha village. Have you figured out how to carry the Konoha treasure house? With just these few people, I'm afraid you won't be able to bring much. Hanzo and Onoki walked side by side, and suddenly asked, if you can't take too much, this trip will be over. Meaning, if you can't take it, you will destroy it. You can't leave it to Konoha. Onoki replied, besides, I have plans. Yeah, Hanzo nodded and didn't ask any further. He has a way to take away a lot of money, and there is no problem with taking his share. He relies on his psychic beast, Sanjiaoyu. With the huge body of Sanjiaoyu, he swallows the treasure and sneaks into the ground to leave. No one can catch it. Live. He conjectured that Onoki's method of taking away the treasure might also have something to do with psychic beasts. Time flies, and the day of dressing up is over, and it is dusk. 80 kilometers northwest of Konoha village, in a small town called Sanhua, a total of 10 people, including Onoki, Hanzo, and Black Zetsu, entered the town to rest temporarily. The location of Sanhua town is already in the hinterland of the Fire Country. It is the closest trade formation to Konoha village. Since the war has not spread to this place, Sanhua town is still prosperous. There are many vendors and soldiers, which is very lively. There are no Konoha ninjas stationed here, but the 6th Legion from the Daimyo Prefecture is stationed here, with a total of 20,000 people. Among the 20,000 sergeants, the captain and commander level characters are all warriors with good martial arts, and the higher-ranking commanders and other characters are master warriors comparable to Jonin. It can be said that this is a force that cannot be underestimated. Strength. Although any ninja team in Konoha could crippling them, the 6th Legion of the Daimyo Prefecture was an unstoppable existence for vicious people like Missing Nin, a rogue gangster. Since the outbreak of the Ninja World War, Sanhua town has never been attacked, and the legions of the regular forces have not been able to reach here, and others dare not move here. Onoki and the others in disguise settled at the inn in the town, ordered some food, and then went to rest separately. Night, everyone gathered in Onoki's room again, ready to act. They would not go to Konoha village directly, that would be too brainless. When Luhan and others fought Iwagakure, they also waited for a day. After the investigation was done properly, they launched the attack. Luhan also made a very complicated plan before robbing the treasure trove. At this time, Konoha was more powerful than Iwagakure at that time. However, Onoki and the others also had an advantage that Luhan and others did not have at the time, that is, they would know the exact location of the treasure house in advance. In the spacious guest room, the curse seal enveloped the entire room, isolating all breath and sound. Master Black, should you tell us the location of Konoha's treasure house? Hanzo said in a cold tone, squinting at Black Zetsu, we've all arrived, what are you waiting for? This is a threat. If Black Zetsu doesn't say anything now, Hanzo and Ono will definitely join forces to kill Black Zetsu. Konoha's treasury has been divided into 3 some time ago, and has been mobilized since then. Currently, Konoha has 2 small, 1 large and 3 treasuries. At this moment, the attack on Konoha is a foregone conclusion, and Black Zetsu naturally no longer hides it, and tells the truth. At the same time, in the Land of Rain. In the southern part of the Country of Rain, in an area called White Crystal Mine, a medium-sized camp is built in the mine. Here is the Sunagakur Puppet Master Army camp. Taking advantage of the night, Luhan sneaked to the vicinity of the camp, entered a dark state, and immediately launched an investigation of the Puppet Army camp. Chapter 0785-Luhan's plan. Luhan's real plan was not complicated, it was to fight the Sunagakur Puppet Master camp first, and then go to the Omegakure village. There are 2 reasons for this. First, Luhan has the exclusive ability of subversives, and can see the key points of puppets. In the end, puppets are not as strong as humans who have independent consciousness and can think, but puppets also have things that humans can't match, such as breaking the fighting power of broken hands. Ninjas are basically useless after their hands and feet are cut off. They can only wait to be killed. There are very few who can fight back, but puppets are different. Human corpse puppets do not feel pain. There will be no hesitation, and the mechanism puppet is even more terrifying. There are mechanisms all over the body. Even if you cut off his limbs and head, only the torso is left, and the torso can open several holes and shoot sharp arrows. Disgusting thing for ninjas to fight puppets in general. You either use ninjutsu to completely smash them, or chop them with a knife, and only destroy some part, and it is difficult to make the puppet lose its combat effectiveness, but it is easy to be attacked by yourself. Sneak attack. This is the reason why Konoha's second main battle army always suffers under the Sunagakur Puppet Master Army. This style of play is shameless. And puppets can be regenerated. Sunagakur has never stopped making low-level puppets. As long as the puppet master doesn't die, even if some puppets are lost, they can be replenished later, but Konoha ninja. Death means death. However, to Luhan, the puppet was simply vulnerable. Because he knows the key points of the puppet, the energy center or the center of the organization, he only needs 1 blow to destroy the puppet. Even if your hands and feet are good, your head is still there, and the center key is broken, you can't fight. Therefore, if Luhan is asked to fight a large army of 3,000 people, because he does not have the defensive power of Lao Ai, the possibility of death is still very high, but if he is asked to fight the Puppet Master army with the same combat power as the large army, he took a big advantage. The advantage is scary. Of course, the danger is still there, and it is very big. If it wasn't for the raid on Omegakure village, Luhan would not have come to take the risk. The second reason why he wants to fight the Sunagakur Puppet Master Legion first and then the Omegakure Legion is the Psychic Badge. He will use the Psychic Badge to exchange for the Advanced Battle Puppet, and then take the Advanced Battle Puppet to fight Omegakure village. There are more than 1,000 puppet masters in the Sunagakur Puppet Army, and they can summon at least 2,000 or 3,000 puppets. If Luhan kills all these puppets, he will get at least a few thousand psychic badges, so what kind of battle can be exchanged for puppet? This was Luhan's plan. The next time he will enter the subversive space will be at midnight tomorrow. Since he can't scare the snakes, he will attack the Sunagakur Puppet Master army and attack the village of Omegakure tomorrow night. Today, he is here to investigate, for the sake of prepare for tomorrow's attack. In order to get more psychic badges, Luhan is not good at doing sneak attacks. He directly kills the puppet master. If the puppet does not appear, he will not get the psychic badge. Therefore, Luhan must plan well, not only to ensure his own safety, it is also necessary to ensure that the strong people in the puppet army can channel those powerful puppets. Beijing Mine is an abandoned mine with caves everywhere. The puppet master army is stationed here, and it is easier to defend, because most puppets are only suitable for close combat, and have no long-range attack ability, and their defense ability is also average. In the Beijing Mine, due to terrain restrictions, it is difficult for ninjas to jointly perform ninjutsu here. Once they enter the mine, they usually need melee combat to solve their opponents. This is very beneficial to the Puppet Master Legion. It is also very beneficial to Lu Han. Although the killing is slow and easy to be blocked in the mine, the possibility of Lu Han being besieged is also reduced. Ninja science and technology arose in Sunagakure village. Sunagakure village's puppet skills are very developed, and can create many unique organs for investigation. Because these things are not biological and have no combat power, most of them will not be reminded on the insight map. Therefore, Lu Han also encountered a lot of trouble when sneaking into the camp. But he still went in, and it took 2 full hours. The technique of concealment made Lu Han merge with the darkness. Even if the puppet mechanism was facing Lu Han, nothing could be seen, and it was black in front of him. The Land of Fire, the hidden village of Konoha. It was dark in Konoha late at night, with a few lights hitting the towers around the village. Black Zetsu led Onoki and Hanzo to the outside of Konoha village. The 8-strong Iwagakure didn't come, they were just reconnaissance, and they didn't plan to start tonight, so they weren't needed. Originally, the defense around Konoha was extremely tight, and a large number of Hyuga ninjas were monitoring the surroundings 24 hours a day. Even Black Zetsu could hardly lead the way and completely escape those arrangements to bring people here. The see-through ability of the Hyuga family is really annoying. But now it's different. Because of Konoha's change of layout, there are loopholes in the defense. Therefore, Black Zetsu has the opportunity to bring people to the periphery of Konoha village. To the north of Konoha village, Black Zetsu, Onoki, and Hanzo stood on a tree and looked at Konoha village from afar. Konoha's defensive arrangement was adjusted on the day Hangguang left, and it has been changing since then. Black Zetsu said in a low voice, Hangguang is also very worried. After he leaves Konoha, Konoha village will be attacked, so he has done enough. Preparation. This is his preparation. Hanzo sneered. He divided the treasure house into 3, and the protective power was scattered because of this. How stupid. Humph. Onoki snorted coldly, his eyes gloomy. It is undeniable that Hangguang's talent is superb, but this is only his talent in the ninja sect. He has courage and wisdom, but if you talk about managing a village, he is far behind. Now, just look at the current layout of Konoha village, it is really stupid. Quote. White Zetsu told Black Zetsu the information they had investigated before, and Black Zetsu had already drawn the information and handed it over to Onoki and Hanzo, so now the two of them knew Konoha's arrangement very well. It's better to investigate, and be careful, Hanzo said calmly. He was as cautious as ever. Chapter 0786-Murderous. In the village of Konoha, in the Hokage building, in a guest room used to entertain guests. No lights were lit, and the large suite hall was dimly lit. The moonlight shone white on the carpet through the window. Tsunade stood in front of the window, looking at the night outside, looking a little uneasy. Perhaps it was because Lu Han explained too much when he left, which made Tsunade feel that something must happen. She has been sitting in the Hokage building for the past few days, eating and living here with Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and Uzumaki Kushina, 4 of them. Except for Uzumaki Kushina, the other 3 take turns to rest every day and take turns to work at night. Go and rest. Orochimaru quietly walked to Tsunade's side and said lightly. Tsunade didn't say anything, turned around and walked to the sofa in the hall. He lay on the sofa with his clothes on. Tsunade was full of thoughts. The situation here is just a microcosm of Konoha. Not just Tsunade at all, other places in Konoha, that one Jonin, elite Jonin, the existence with the name of the strong, Inuzuka Tears, White Fang, Hyuga Tiger Young. And so on, they seem to be doing step by step every day. It is not much different from before. In fact, every time after nightfall, their nerves will be tense. Konoha, who seemed to be extremely peaceful in the dark, was actually murdered. Hanzo and Onoki did not enter Konoha. Konoha is under curfew at night. They are too easy to be found when they go in. During the day, it will be better. outside the village of Konoha, in the shadow of a huge tree canopy. If we split up and attack 3 of Konoha's treasuries at the same time, we might be able to disperse Konoha's forces and achieve miraculous results. Onoki said gloomily, if we can't rob all of Konoha's treasuries, at least we have to destroy them. Not good. Hanzo immediately objected. His tone was not very intense. When it came to business, he was still very reasonable. Once we are scattered, there is a possibility that we will be defeated by each other. We are not Hangwang. Hangwang can use the technique of Hiraishin. Come and go freely, the mobility is too strong, and we do not have this advantage, and Konoha hides dragons and crouching tigers. The master is like a cloud. The background is very strong. This action must be fast, a little slow. We may all be surrounded. This time the purpose of coming to Konoha is not to kill, just for money. Don't be selfish. Onoki glanced at Hanzo without refuting. In fact, he was just very unwilling. Because Luhan led people to attack Iwagakure in 4 places at the same time. Although Onoki was not present at the time, someone naturally explained the situation to him afterwards. After a little analysis, Onoki knew the details of Luhan's plan at that time. The Iwagakure treasure house with a division strategy. Onoki. However, Onoki could only think about this in his heart, and he knew that the strength of Konoha was not comparable to that of Iwagakure, so let's not say anything else, just the Hyuga and Uchiha clans. In the entire ninja world, it is also the strongest. If the 2 clans were united, the combat power of 700 or 800 ninjas would be comparable to that of a large army. Besides, Konoha also has the garrison army that Inuzuka Tears rule. According to what we said before, we set the goal as the biggest treasure house of Konoha. As long as the treasure house is robbed, at least half of Konoha's wealth can be plundered, not to mention shaking the foundation of Konoha, but it is also enough to strengthen our financial power and eliminate Konoha's financial power. Advantage. Hanzo was very reasonable, and he was not greedy at all. Black Zetsu gave Hanzo a strange look, but said nothing. Is Hanzo really not greedy? Of course not. He was just thinking about himself. He was alone and could only fight in one place. In the end, the best result was to get the treasure of one place. In that case, why should we divide our troops? Attacking the other 2 small treasure troves, Hanzo, who lacks skills, will not gain any benefits, and will increase his danger due to the division strategy. So, just focus on one. Hanzo doesn't care how much Onoki wants, he only wants his own share. The 2 are cooperating for interests, not one heart at all. Someone is coming, Black Zetsu said suddenly. The 3 of them disappeared into the tree at the same time, sneaking into the ground with ninjutsu. A few minutes later, a Hyuga scout ninja passed by without stopping, and soon left. After a few more minutes, the 3 of them reappeared on the tree. The deployment of Konoha's troops seems to be still mobilizing. Hanzo noticed that hundreds of ninjas were moving in groups in Konoha village. We should do more reconnaissance, master rules, and then we can do it. It's been like this for Konoha these days, and I haven't seen the pattern yet, Black Zetsu chimed in. So it's just to cast doubts. Onoki broke the mystery in one sentence. He was so right, but no one would tell him that he was right, and he didn't know what was behind the suspicion. Be careful, this matter can only succeed and not fail, we only have one chance. Hanzo said, the voice under the mask became more and more low. Hangwang is far away in the country of rain. Even if we get the news and come back now, it will take 2 days. No matter if he starts today or tomorrow, he has no rescue ability. After a night, a new day. Konoha, who had been silent for a night, began to hustle and bustle all day long. Although it was not as prosperous as before the Ninja World War, it was still extremely lively. The afternoon, Hokage building. In Hokage's assistant office, Kaharu Udatane was reviewing documents and seemed very busy. When Luhan left, Konoha's burden was placed on her shoulders, and because of the recent changes in the Land of Rain, the documents that needed to be processed also more. Call. A ghostly figure appeared behind Kaharu Utatane. This was an old man with a childish face. Although his face was full of old Madara, he had a long breath and was in high spirits. Third uncle. Kaharu Utatane put down his pen and greeted when he saw the person coming. Hanzo is here, the old man said solemnly. Chapter-781-800 Touch. Kaharu Utatane is 43 years old this year, and the man he calls third uncle is 75 years old this year. This person's name is Xuanqi Daozang, and he belongs to the older generation of Konoha. He is very old. During the First Ninja War, he was already in his 50s. At that time, his strength had begun to decline, so there is no brilliant record, so the reputation is not obvious. Speaking of which, he was the same generation as the first generation Hokage Senju Hashirama. His most active period was when Konoha village was not established, and the ninja world was still in the Sengoku era. At that time, he was the first of the Huan family. Strong. However, because the transfer clan was a small clan at that time, there were not many people, so the first strong person was not a strong pervert, let alone compared with Uchiha, Senju, Hyuga, even with Hitaki, Inuzuka, Zhongshan, Aburame and other clans it's a little bit worse than. Before Luhan rearranged the treasure house, there were 3 people guarding Konoha's treasure house, all of them were the strong of the older generation. However, there is a special secret technique of master, which gives him a great advantage in guarding the treasury. This is a powerful secret technique similar to the perception technique of the Zhongshan clan, but it is different. It is also similar to the induction technique of the second generation Tsuchikage. In short, it can be integrated with the air, so that the air around you becomes a part of your body, so as to form a sense of the surrounding. This kind of induction is not just to say that a person suddenly comes, he can sense it, even if it is not a person, but a stone, he can also feel it. Because the stone enters his sensing range, it will squeeze out the air. This technique is called hollow touch technique, but it is even more original. Luhan left Konoha. He instructed Kaharu Utatane to let Kaharu Utatane tell Luhan's arrangement to the sleeper. Largest treasury in Konoha is guarded by the transfer road. It is located in the southeast of Konoha village. The Hokage rock is located in the cave of Yamanaka. The Hokage rock in Konoha is so huge that it completely blocks the side of Konoha village. The area where Hokage's head is engraved is only a small part. According to Luhan's arrangement, it was even more necessary for Luhan to enter a specific location outside the largest treasure house 2 days after Luhan left Konoha village, and perform the hollow touch technique, with a range of 500 meters. The sensing range of 500 meters is extremely useless. Any Hyuga genin can detect farther locations by looking at it with Byakugan. You must know that the well-known sensing techniques, such as Senju Senluo's sensing ability, are enough to sense hundreds of kilometers. Boiling rain can also sense tens of kilometers. The second generation Tsuchikage's sensing ability is even more terrifying. 500 meters is really useless. It is better to arrange 2 Hyuga genins to stare there. But Luhan only asked for 500 meters. 500 meters is enough, but it needs to be maintained for a long time. For more than 10 hours a day, dawn begins and sunset ends. Because the sensing range is too small, there is really no pressure on the changer. The reason why Luhan asked him to do this was that Konoha could determine when Hanzo and Onoki would arrive. If Hanzo comes, he really wants to attack Konoha. With his character, he must personally infiltrate Konoha to investigate. He must not do it at night. Konoha has a curfew at night, which makes it easier to be discovered. People come and go during the day. It is impossible for Hyuga genin to detect Hanzo. With Hanzo's strength, he can turn Hyuga genin's tricks around with a little trick. With the ability to change to sleep, Hanzo can't escape no matter what. As long as he comes to investigate Konoha's biggest treasure trove in person, he will definitely be found when he turns to bed. Nothing escaped Luhan's calculations. Hanzo came, and he was even discovered when he turned to bed. This is the person's body structure. I didn't really see him, but through the air contact, I know his body surface structure. Turning to bed, talking more, he took out a piece of paper from his arms and put it on the table. Sketches on paper. A tall and thin person with a knife. Other features are very vague, but one thing is clear, that is the mask. No matter how Hanzo disguise, he can't take off his mask. It will poison people, then it will be directly exposed, and the mask on Hanzo's face is the only one in the world. Speaking of which, both Hanzo and Onoki have obvious characteristics. Hanzo is a mask, and Onoki is too short. Kaharu Udatane suddenly changed color after hearing what he said when he turned to bed. When he looked at the stick figure again, his pupils contracted violently. He took the drawing in his hand, got up suddenly, and walked out quickly. Turning to bed without saying anything else, Handseal disappeared into the office. He has to go back to guard the treasure house. Hokage building, in the guest room used to entertain guests. Tsunade just woke up and was having breakfast with Uzumaki Kushina. Uzumaki Kushina pouted and seemed very unhappy. She was locked here, can't walk around. Hyuga Luo condensed back to the Hyuga family. No one played with her. Bang! The door was slammed open, and Kaharu Udatane walked in quickly, walking over to Tsunade, whispering. Orochimaru, who had just fallen asleep on the sofa, was awakened and turned his head to Kaharu Udatane at the same time as Jiraiya, who was watching the scenery by the window. Tsunade listened to Kaharu Udatane's words. His expression became extremely serious, and he asked in a low voice, "A meeting?" "No." Kaharu Udatane shook his head immediately. Master Hokage explained that you can't talk about such situations in a meeting. There is a very special ninja in the black market who has a terrible ability to infiltrate, and meetings are easy to leak. Hangguang is talking about White Zetsu. When Lu Han was there, White Zetsu didn't dare to eavesdrop on the meeting, because Lu Han could detect him, and White Zetsu knew this, but when Lu Han wasn't there, nothing could be said. Round him, Tsunade whispered again. No, Kaharu Udatane shook his head again. We don't have a ninja who can check and balance him at all. If he wants to run, we can't stop him. We should lead him into a trap. In this way, you go to inform White Fang, and I will go to Inuzuka to cry. And then, the easiest way to send messages, with people, pass one by one. In order to prevent White Zetsu, Lu Han gave a lot of instructions. Time flies. 8 hours later, it was long into the night. The village of Konoha was once again silent in the darkness. Chapter-781-800 on Konoha. The largest hotel in Sanhua town, the Clover Hotel. The first floor of the hotel is the dining hall, which is still bustling and bustling. The drunkards are raising their glasses and shouting, and the second shopkeeper is welcoming them to send. There is no curfew in Sanhua town, so even if it is late at night, there will be a lot of traffic. Stop a lot. Compared with the noise on the first floor, the second and third floors are much quieter, and the more you go up, the quieter. In the largest guest room on the 5th floor, Hanzo once again took out the topographic map of Konoha, pointed to the Hokage building above, and said, "Let me talk about the plan again. We must try to avoid the Hokage building as much as possible. This is the core of Konoha's defense and the symbol of Konoha. A small treasure trove is under the Hokage building. No matter who attacks here, they will encounter the most powerful attack, and the gains outweigh the losses." Quote. Another treasure house, in the forest behind Konoha village, is Konoha Anbu. It is the easiest place to attack, but it is easy to get in but not easy to get out. There are countless internal and external organs in Konoha Anbu. Destroy the time-space imprint outside Anbu, and we will be trapped inside. Can't fight, must not fight. Humph! Onoki snorted suddenly. Hanzo glanced at Onoki, and the corner of his mouth under the mask sneered. He understood what Onoki was humming. Because the purpose of Hanzo's words is not to talk about plans at all, but to remind Onoki not to mess around. The real plan has been discussed before, and there is no need to say more. Hanzo is still worried. He is worried that Onoki will not come as planned. After all, the 8 strong men are Iwagakure ninjas. They only listen to Onoki. Here, the biggest treasure trove of Konoha. Hanzo continued, pointing to the corner of the mountain where the Konoha Hokage rock is located. I went to investigate. The Uchiha people have moved the police building of the Konoha police force to this neighborhood, and there are also the strength of the 3 battalions of the garrison army. Hanzo was talking. Onoki's face was cold. The other Iwagakure ninjas were listening, and Black Zetsu was also listening. Sudden. Black Zetsu seemed to sense something, turned his head and glanced at the small corridor leading to the bathroom, and then walked over slowly. No one cared about him. Black Zetsu was always elusive, and his whereabouts were strange. Black Zetsu entered the small hallway and walked to the bathroom door. There is a huge flower pot next to the door, with a huge white flower blooming on it. This is the decorative bonsai of the hotel. Black Zetsu stopped, and White Zetsu grew out of the bonsai, and said expressionlessly, "There's weirdness." Huh. Black Zetsu frowned suddenly. White Zetsu handed him his hand. Black Zetsu took White Zetsu's hand, and immediately knew what White Zetsu saw. Weird indeed. Konoha's interiors got even weirder tonight. Don't worry, it's Konoha's people who are playing tricks, and the arrow has to be shot on the string. Black Zetsu said coldly. How's the rain country over there? Han Guang is very vigilant and cannot track him. He has been active in the southern part of the rain country. Well, as long as he is still in the land of rain, you don't need to worry about the rest. Black Zetsu said, suddenly seeming to think of something, and asked again, how many times has Han Guang scouted a Megakure village? 3 times before and after. White Zetsu replied, because he has a clone who lives in a Megakure village, so as long as Lu Han goes there, there is no way to hide, and White Zetsu will definitely know. Okay, it seems that he really intends to attack a Megakure village. Black Zetsu showed a hideous smile. He really hoped that Han Guang would fight a Megakure village, so that his time of death would come. After White Zetsu disappeared, Black Zetsu returned to the hall of the guest room, looked at the moonlight outside the window, and said to everyone, "It's almost time, you can act." The night was hazy. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and there was still an hour before 0. Taking advantage of the night, a group of 10 left Sanhua town and ran to Konoha. Sanhua town is 80 miles away from Konoha village. For ninjas like Hanzo and Onoki, even at normal speed, it takes dozens of minutes to walk 80 kilometers. 40 minutes later. Not in a hurry to arrive at Konoha, were already not far from Konoha, because the attack time must be after 0, the later the better, so after approaching Konoha, they completely slowed down. Not in a hurry is on the one hand, on the other hand, you have to dodge some Hyuga scout ninjas. The ability to see through is really disgusting. At least for Konoha's enemies. If they were discovered by the Konoha ninja before they entered the Konoha village, the difficulty of robbing the treasure house today would have to be increased several times. What they don't know is that Konoha already knows that they are here, and the difficulty of their robbery of the treasure house has been increased several times. This is not to mention Lu Han's other arrangements. In the dark forest, everyone flickered forward. Go this way. Black Zetsu pointed to the north, then the first to flicker and disappear. Onoki has already suggested that it is better to rush directly to Konoha. Anyway, since the distance is so close, Konoha will definitely not be able to react. If he encounters Hyuga ninja, just kill him directly. Unfortunately, it was rejected by Hanzo and Black Zetsu at the same time. Why bother? Obviously you can do it perfectly without any accident. Why should you take the initiative to scare the snake? Black Zetsu took the crowd to hide and took a detour, but it was getting closer and closer to Konoha village. Although there were some changes in the layout of entering Konoha village, it was still full of loopholes. Black Zetsu was confident to lead them silently. Dive into Konoha. Call. Black Zetsu appeared out of thin air in the grass in the jungle, and then Hanzo and others all appeared out of thin air. Looking in Konoha's direction, Black Zetsu immediately said, Go straight ahead, fast. At this time, another grass that everyone went to quickly grew 2 large leaves, and White Zetsu emerged from it. The crowd stopped immediately. Hanzo and Onoki know White Zetsu because they've met before, but they haven't seen the combination of White Zetsu and Black Zetsu. What's wrong? Black Zetsu frowned suddenly, not suddenly appearing for no reason. An hour ago, Hengwang attacked the Sunagakur Puppet Master Army alone. White Zetsu said. Chapter-781 Cold Light Kills Again. Not only Black Zetsu was stunned, but Onoki, Hanzo and others were all stunned. Hongwang actually went to fight the Sunagakur Puppet Master Army. He actually went to fight the Puppet Master Army. He is crazy. Got a hole in the head. Seriously, Hanzo is a little stunned. He can't understand Hongwang's brain circuit, fighting the Puppet Master Army. If Luhan attacked not the Puppet Master Army, but any regular army of Sunagakur and Omegakure, Hanzo would understand. Going to the front line and killing the enemy, with Hongwang's character, doesn't need any other explanation at all. But the Puppet Master Army is very different. That is the strongest army in Sunagakur village. Although they are always beaten up, they can be replenished every time, because puppets can be continuously created. Unlike conventional legions are all people who fight and are timid. Temporarily retreating, the so-called avoiding its edge is exactly what it is. But the Puppet Master Army is different. The Puppet Masters themselves will be timid, but you must understand. It is not the Puppet Master who is fighting, but the puppet. I am a Puppet Master. I can't beat you. I am afraid, but I will still command the puppet to beat you. Just fuck you. If the puppet is gone, it will be gone, and I will not die. When a group of Puppet Masters are together, there will be a desire to let the puppets swarm over you and kill you with crowd tactics. This is a characteristic of the Puppet Master Army. Thousands of puppets are equivalent to thousands of dead men. It's terrifying to think about. The dead can't play a miraculous role in the frontal battlefield, but if you take the initiative to fight the dead army, it is really sick. He went to fight the Puppet Master Army. Black Zetsu raised his brows, his face extremely surprised. Is he alone? Yes, White Zetsu said. When I got the news and rushed over, Hongwang was already surrounded by a heavy siege. Since the Puppet Master camp was in the mine and Hongwang entered the mine, it was not easy for me to go in and investigate in detail. Black Zetsu's face is cloudy and uncertain. He can't figure it out. It's not right for Hongwang to do this. Unreasonable thing. Could it be that Hongwang wants to prove his strength? But not so dead. Hanzo's eyes widened. After being surprised, his heart burst into ecstasy. He really didn't expect that he had to take precautions and set up left and right arrangements. After worrying for so long, Hongwang didn't even go to Omegakure village. Instead, fight the Sunagakur puppet army. Hanzo really wanted to look up to the sky and laugh 3 times. Although Sunagakur is an ally of Omegakure, for Hanzo, it is better for Hanzo to be beaten than Omegakure. Moreover, when Hengwang beats Sunagakur's Puppet Master Army, he can't say whether he can destroy the Puppet Master Army. It is not bad to be able to escape alive, of course. The Puppet Master Army will definitely lose a lot of puppets. But you know, puppets can be made. As long as you have money and mines, you can have as many things as you want. Comparatively speaking, the puppet itself is not important. What is important is the puppet master who manipulates the puppet. Unless Hongwang has the strength to kill all the puppets of the Sunagakur Puppet Master Army, he will not be able to kill many puppet masters. Although Sunagakur will suffer huge losses because of this, after all, puppets are money, but their combat power can be quickly replenished without affecting the frontline battle situation. Hongwang is really too arrogant. Onoki, who had been cold-faced all the time, suddenly said, because what Luhan did was too brainless in their eyes, and could only be understood as being too arrogant. Want to destroy the Sunagakur Puppet Master Army with your own power? Really sick. Huh. Hanzo seemed to suddenly think of something, and stared at White Zetsu. You said, Hengwang attacked the Puppet Master Army an hour ago, and you came back from the Land of Rain an hour ago. As soon as Hanzo said this, everyone looked at White Zetsu in unison. It was they who ignored this detail before. Is this possible? White Zetsu didn't explain, so he wouldn't tell these people that he has clones all over the whole ninja world, and there is a special connection between the clones and the main body. The distance is too far, but the speed of information transmission is absolutely terrifying. White Zetsu, who said nothing, retreated into the grass and disappeared. Let's go. Since Hengguang chose to attack the Sunagakur Puppet Master Army, we can rest assured. Black Zetsu said, as long as today's action is successful, the victorious Libra will favor us, and the destruction of Konoha is just around the corner. The Land of Rain, Beijing Mine. The huge cave of Mine Yamanaka, the ground is full of puppet corpses. Only a few of the puppet corpses are broken. Most of them are relatively intact, only the vital points of the body are destroyed. There is no unified position for the key center of a puppet. Some are in the head, some are in the abdomen, some are under the ribs, and some are in the back. They are all different. This is one of the reasons why puppets are difficult to deal with. The head and the heart are the key points. Everyone is like this. If you can't hit the key points of the puppet can still move. Even if it loses half of its body, it can kill people. But all this is not a problem for Lu Han. Subversive's exclusive ability, vital determination, makes it unnecessary for Lu Han to attack the puppet with a second knife. In fact, all the puppets were destroyed by his attack, and some of them were broken because the internal energy of the puppet's central vitals was unbalanced and exploded. Hundreds of puppets are besieging Lu Han. All of them are not afraid of death. They don't know what death is at all, and the same is true for a few who have self-consciousness. Lu Han's whole body flashed with lightning. In the Raiden Thunder style chakra mode, the blade light was like thunder, and almost every shot would destroy a puppet, and the speed of Lu Han's shot was really terrifying. Why? How did he know? Outside the group of puppets and puppet masters who attacked Lu Han, the current Sunagakur Puppet Master Army Commander, King Bai, looked horrified, stared at the battle, and kept mumbling to himself. He has already discovered that Hongguang can attack the key points every time. This is incomprehensible to him. He no longer dares to fight in front of the mountain. He can only be wise in the back, because his puppet has been destroyed by the cold light before. Without the puppet, his strength has just crossed the threshold of cage level. No difference. The terrifying Konoha cold light had destroyed thousands of puppets in just 1 hour. King Bai was terrified of it. Chapter-780-self-destruct. 60 minutes in 1 hour, 60 seconds per minute, 3,600 seconds in total, destroy thousands of puppets in 3,600 seconds. That is to say, if the cold light is between 3 to 4 seconds, one will be destroyed. Puppet. This is a very scary number. Even in the frontal battlefield, where they fought bloody battles with the enemy army for days and nights, the Sunagakur Puppet Master Army would not necessarily lose so many puppets. The Ninja World War has been fought for 4 or 5 years. The number of ninjas killed in the entire ninja world is about 20,000. Even if it is 4 years, only 5,000 people die every year, 365 days a year. On average, every day only a dozen people died. War is like this. It is impossible to kill hundreds of people today and hundreds of people tomorrow, so that 80,000 ninjas in the ninja world will die in 100 days. Although puppets are different from people, some analogies can still be made. Since the Sunagakur puppet troops entered the battlefield of the Land of Rain, there has never been such a large loss in such a short period of time. If Lu Han could know King Bai's thoughts at this moment, he would definitely turn a few Byakugans on him. Wouldn't this be a blast? Is it incredible? You haven't read the original, have you? No, the Shinra Tensei Almighty pushed sign. Sweep the entire Konoha village in an instant. Scare you to death. Where is this going? Puppets have weaknesses. This weakness is very fatal. People have self-consciousness and will subconsciously defend their weaknesses to prevent them from being attacked. For example, a ninja is attacked by a knife in the heart. If the ninja reacts, he will definitely try to avoid it, and would rather be stabbed with a knife. Wearing the stomach, cannot let the heart be stabbed. But the puppet has no such meaning, it simply doesn't think about where its vital points are. Although Lu Han is surrounded by heavy siege, it is still easy to kill the puppet, because he will never be restricted to a certain place. He can move all the time, no matter which puppet is blocking him, he can break it with one move. It's like cheating. If Lu Han still can't come up with some achievements, he will commit suicide. He knows the weakness of the puppet, he can find it, how could he know? Kang Bai couldn't understand it, even if he broke his head, he couldn't understand. Why can cold light? The Sunagakur Puppet Master Legion has a rule, that is, when the Legion is fighting, if a certain puppet master's puppets are exhausted, they can immediately retreat and go to the rear to receive protection. What really matters is the puppet master. Not something like a puppet that can be compared. Therefore, Kang Bai retreated to the rear to command after killing all his puppets, and no one said he was timid, because the rules were like this. This cave is very huge. Lu Han rushed all the way to this place and was surrounded by it. He didn't kill for too long here. Therefore, more puppet masters came from other positions. The teacher withdrew from the encirclement. Lu Han didn't kill those puppet masters first. Chasing down the puppet master is too troublesome, he is very in a hurry, there is still an hour left before 0. He must kill enough puppets within an hour, get enough psychic badges, and break out from here, find an absolute safe place to hide. In this way, he can enter the subversive space calmly in exchange for the psychic puppets that can be summoned repeatedly. Then, he's going to raid a Megakure village. We can't wait for tomorrow, because tonight, the news of cold light comes to the land of rain will definitely spread. At that time, the Megakure village may return with a large army, and the Sunagakur Corps will definitely have a special mobilization. Hanzo knew that Han Guang was in the land of rain, but he didn't tell the Legion commander outside. Even in a Megakure village, only a few people knew that Han Guang was coming. Lu Han is really in a hurry. Therefore, even if he had the opportunity to kill some powerful puppet masters who were regarded as valuable treasures by Sunagakur village, he would not take the initiative to kill them. It was a complete waste of time. Kang Bai became more and more anxious. He directed the attack, but he was very weak. Can't handle the cold light at all. There is no enemy of Hangguang here. If you want to kill Hangguang, you must trap him and fix his range of activities in order to besiege him, but you can't do it at all. Hangguang knows the weakness of the puppet, and no one can stop him from moving. Damn it. You can't continue like this, damn it. Kang Bai is getting more and more manic, and he is already going crazy again. He has lost so many puppets this time, and he is very responsible. If Chio found out, he would have to rip off his skin. Although Chio is also a puppet master, she does not belong to the Puppet Master Corps, nor is she here. Since Chio's younger brother Ebizo became the Sunagakur Village Generation Kage, Chio has become the frontline commander of the Sunagakur Corps, in charge of all frontline war affairs. Listen to my orders. Kang Bai jumped onto a 2-story rock in the cave and commanded loudly, blow yourself up with a puppet. All puppets that can explode, give me the blow up and kill this damn fellow. Hearing Kang Bai's order, the puppet masters near Lu Han did not hesitate. Under the control of the chakra threads, the 2 puppets that were very close to Lu Han exploded into 2 balls of fire. At the same time, some puppets retreated temporarily, and more puppets rushed towards Lu Han. Naturally, those who retreated could not self-destruct. The pounce can naturally explode. Too much. Overwhelming, thunder and flames directly swallowed Lu Han, and some puppets seemed to be used for self-destruction. At the same time of self-destruction, some sharp metal cones would be shot out, and some were self-exploding ninjutsu, and some would burst out. A cursed chain similar to sealing. My day, your uncle. This wave of attacks was so violent that Lu Han, who was killing the puppets at a rhythm, was caught off guard and was knocked out continuously by the explosion. In just 5 seconds, the Raiden Thunder-style armor on his body shattered. Looking for death, After the Raid and Thunder style chakra mode was broken, Lu Han immediately disappeared. With Horaishan, he couldn't have died here. After a series of explosions, the huge cave fell silent. All the puppet masters were paying attention to their surroundings. The cold light disappeared, but it could reappear at any time. No one dared to take it lightly. King Bai immediately jumped off the big rock. Standing too high could easily be used as a target. He understood this. Chapter-781-Bleeding Heart. Although King Bai was angry and frightened in his heart, he did not even have the ability to think because of this. After all, he was the commander of the Puppet Master Legion. Although he had only been in the position for 2 years, he was an existence that should not be underestimated. Jumping off the big rock, King Bai mixed into the puppets and called out his personal guards to assemble beside him. What he didn't know was that Lu Han had already sentenced him to death. Phrase, seeking death, just now was said to him. Therefore, unless King Bai escaped immediately, it would be futile to do anything. Lu Han was really annoyed. You said, just stay in the back when the puppets are gone, just be your sick cat, you have to run out and pretend to be a tiger, you seem to have the ability, right? The cave is extremely huge, with a height of more than 30 meters from the ground to the top. More and more puppet masters rushed into the cave. Before they were turned around by Lu Hansuo, they were led to other places. Came back. The number of puppet masters in the cave is gradually approaching 600, and the number of puppets is about 1500. They are full, and it seems that there are figures everywhere. Line up. Hurry up. Go there to investigate the puppet, hurry up. King Bai commanded again and again. Kai _. The sound of breaking the sky rang out. However, at a height of about 5 meters above the cave, a clue flashed from the entrance of the north side of the cave. At the moment when it passed over the top of King Bai's head, a cold light appeared out of nowhere and landed instantly. King Bai was terrified and didn't even have the courage to fight Lu Han, so he had to run away with hand seal, but it was too late. Lu Han raised his right hand slightly, triggering the magic ring on his finger. Futon Wind Style, the art of flower rain cutting. Boom _. The huge lotus flower appeared, bloomed, and swirled. King Bai didn't even have time to let out a scream, and was torn into a blood mist. Within 30 meters of Lu Han's body, more than 100 puppets and more than 30 puppet masters died at the same time. Torn to smithereens. Master King Bai. Damn, he's here again. Kill him. The puppet masters in the cave are really brave. Because they don't have to fight in person, they hide behind and command the puppets. Anyone can have courage. The art of cutting flowers and rain dissipated, and the surroundings of Lu Han were empty, but immediately a large number of puppets rushed to self-destruct. Lu Han really wanted to kill King Bai again. Already going to be mad. Why? Because self-destruction doesn't count as killing without Lu Han won't get any reward. King Bai accidentally ruined Lu Han's affairs. Bastard. Lu Han bit Kiba and resisted the first wave of attacks. The Raid and Thunder style chakra mode showed signs of being broken again. Shikatsumyaku Dead Bone Pulse Dance of Early Fern. Boom boom. Thick and long bone spurs protruded from the ground at the same time, forming a bone spur forest. The entire cave was within the attack range of Lu Han, and there was no place to dodge on the ground, but the killing effect was not ideal. Because puppets are not afraid of ordinary piercing injuries, they can still fight even if their arms are broken, and puppet masters. These bastards basically use ninjutsu in which masters and puppets exchange positions. The art of swapping positions for puppets. However, this wave of attacks still caused a lot of casualties to the Sunagakur puppet master in the cave. Shikatsumyaku Dead Bone Pulse in the cave for no reason, because it was easy to collapse the cave. Once the cave collapsed, Lu Han would definitely have no problem going out, but the efficiency of killing puppets would be reduced. Even, he has to dig out the puppet and kill it, which is very troublesome. Fortunately, this wave of attacks did not cause the cave to collapse directly, but it also caused a lot of gravel to fall from above, and it is already possible to collapse. Call, 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 ha. Nearly 10 mid-level puppets in the air rushed to Luhan with their mechanical jets, and blew themselves up at the same time. Luhan immediately dodged and disappeared. Can't resist anymore. Raiden Thunder style chakra mode is about to shatter. Speaking of which, fighting against the Puppet Legion is really dangerous. If Luhan didn't have the Raiden Thunder style chakra mode, he wouldn't dare to fight them head-on. You know, the puppet's attack is unpredictable. Can spit poisonous needles, arms can be bombs, stomach can fire, and so on. It is almost impossible to prevent. If Luhan didn't have the Raiden Thunder style bodyguard, he couldn't dodge all attacks. For example, many puppets would shoot poisonous needles, and that kind of firing rate was no slower than bullets, hundreds of meters per second. And it is impossible to have no dead-end defenses around. Raiden Thunder style chakra mode is okay. It can be said that Luhan can have the current record, thanks to the critical determination and Raiden Thunder style chakra mode. If there is only one of them, Luhan will not be as easy as now. Destruction of the puppet is equivalent to a ninjutsu attack. It's not that Luhan is afraid that he won't be able to win. Although it is indeed very dangerous, this is only second, and more importantly, the self-destruction of the puppet will make Luhan less chance to obtain the psychic badge. Self-destruction is not counted as his kill. No drop, it's disgusting. Heart is bleeding. ... In the north area of Beijing Mine, in the dim tunnel. Luhan moved forward quickly, and after turning a corner, he encountered a team of puppet masters, 8 puppet masters carrying a total of 20 puppets. Since these guys were very weak, Luhan didn't bother to kill them one by one, so he just opened the door. Big move. Cadent fire style majestic destroyer flame, great fire annihilation. The raging fire filled the long mine tunnel. This kind of high-temperature flame, which is enough to melt the rock, is not something that a puppet can resist with its body. Luhan rushed back and forth in the mine tunnel, stopped and walked, sometimes disappeared, and sometimes appeared. Because most of the puppet masters were led to the largest cave by him, he did not encounter too many powerful ones in the mine tunnel. The enemy, at least, must be an elite Jonin, and his eyesight in the cold light can be regarded as some strength. Half an hour later, in the huge cave, the Sunagakur puppet master who got the news had already left most of them and went after Luhan. Luhan returned to the huge cave again, released another wave of Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse, and then performed S-rank ninjutsu in a row. Do not fight. Luhan quickly left the Beijing mine and disappeared into the vast darkness. Morning is coming. Chapter-782-Puppet Shelter from the Cold. After Luhan left the Beijing mine, the Yamanaka mine was still in chaos. The Sunagakur puppet masters were still looking for Luhan in groups. They felt that they had found a way to restrain the cold light, which was to let the puppet explode, so they looked aggressive. In fact, Luhan was just distressed. He blew himself up and didn't fall, so it was pointless to entangle him. About 10 minutes passed. The north of Beijing mine, 3 Sunagakur elite ninja battalions of more than 500 ninjas came to support them. They came from the Sunagakur village 1st Corps. The Sunagakur 1st Corps was nearly 3 hours away from the Sunagakur Puppet Master Corps station. This 3 hours refers to the time required for the Legion to operate. For the faster vanguard troops to arrive, at most 2 hours are enough, and if they march at full speed, they can arrive in more than an hour regardless of the consumption. Coming soon. Too bad it's still late. Because Luhan has already left. He calculated everything, calculated the speed of Sunagakur's First Army if they sent elites, and calculated the time for his attack and the time to evacuate. Compared with puppets, if you are surrounded by 500 Sunagakur elites, it will be troublesome. Those elites drawn from one legion will attack Luhan with the Puppet Legion, and Luhan will be beaten. And just minutes after the vanguard reinforcements of the 1st Corps arrived, Chiyo arrived. She didn't come from the 1st Army Corps, but when she was dealing with affairs in a further temporary stronghold, she rushed to the Puppet Army at full speed as soon as she got the warning, but it was still a step too late. Chiyo-sama. Chiyo-sama. Seeing Chiyo entering the cave, many senior puppet masters gathered around Chiyo, bowed to greet him, and then quickly talked about the previous battle. The previous search did not find Han Guang, and it was already confirmed that Han Guang had left. Han Guang seems to know where each Akatsuki's puppet's weakness is, and the attack is very accurate. Lord Kangbai restrained Han Guang with self-destruction tactics in the later stage, which also angered Han Guang, and Lord Kangbai died in battle. Han Guang's purpose seems to be just to kill Puppet, didn't chase down the puppet master. Chiyo listened, his face became more and more ugly, his eyes were bloodshot, his fists were clenched, his expression was gloomy, and he killed the whole family. Statistics lost, Chiyo asked immediately after hearing this. Now that Han Guang has escaped from the siege, it is impossible to track him. What Chiyo is most concerned about now is, what is the loss of the puppet master army? It's already being counted, and all the puppet masters are being notified to assemble, first to determine the number of dead. How many puppet masters died is still very easy to count. Just ask the puppet masters to gather and see how much is missing, and then you will know how much the puppet masters have lost. It is very troublesome to count the number of puppet masters, because some puppet masters may not be able to get through before they die. Spiritual puppets, and although some puppet masters are alive, the puppets are burned out. The number of casualties of the puppet master was quickly counted. 309 people were killed and 473 were wounded, including 26 seriously injured. Although the number of puppet losses cannot be accurately calculated immediately, some senior puppet masters who participated in the war made an estimate, and several senior puppet masters estimated a number. As long as the gap is not too large, it is almost the same. Estimate the result. This time, the number of puppets damaged by the Puppet Master Legion was between 1,600 and 1,800, which has exceeded half of the total number of puppets owned by the Puppet Master Legion. Chiyo Kiba is about to bite. Huge casualties, be heavy. Sunagakur Puppet Master Army by himself in less than 2 hours. Damn, how did he know? How could he possibly know? Chiyo's roaring voice echoed in the cave. She understood. She knew very well that the reason why the loss was so heavy today is that Han Guang's strength is second, and the third generation Reikage is also strong, but if he singled out the Puppet Master Legion, he would never have achieved such a feat within 2 hours. The reason why Hangguang can cause such huge damage to the Puppet Master Legion is because Hangguang can grasp that every puppet is a weakness. This is something that even the Hyuga family can't do with perspective. Why is Hangguang? Internal structure of the puppet is very complex. Even if Hyuga Ninja can see the internal situation of the puppet, he cannot quickly determine where the key center is from those complex structures. How did the cold light do it? After some rage, Chiyo calmed down. Anger and madness can't solve any problems. Now that this is the case, let's think about how to retaliate in the future. Pass my order. Chiyo thought about it again and again, and issued a very important order about the Puppet Master Army in the cave. From today onwards, if there is a cold light on the battlefield, all the Puppet Masters of Sunagakur village can retreat without a fight. Hide if you can, and if you have a mission, you can give up immediately. This order is valid until Han Guang dies. Quote. This is an unforgettable lesson. Chiyo wants to prevent this kind of tragedy from happening again. Originally, she could not give such an order directly. It is a big sin to retreat without a fight, but she is the elder sister of Hokage, and Ebizo will not oppose her. In the southeastern region of the Land of Rain, there is a giant bamboo forest. A giant bamboo with a diameter of 3 meters and a height of more than 100 meters is located at a height of 30 meters from the ground. The diameter of the bamboo here is about 2.7 meters, which can be called extremely thick. There is a hole in the bamboo. A few minutes ago, Luhan used Hiraishin Kunai to punch this hole. Kunai entered Takeuchi, and Luhan also entered it with Hiraishin's technique. This is a bamboo house that is almost completely closed. Luhan has been maintaining a secret state, sitting inside, waiting for Zero. He didn't dare to be careless. The ghost knows where White Zetsu is and will he follow him quietly. Although this possibility is very small, there is nothing wrong with being careful. You must know that when Lu Han entered the subversive space, his body was without the slightest defensive ability, without consciousness, without being able to sense the outside world. It cannot be discovered. Time passed and it was getting closer. Lu Han adjusted his breathing and still maintained a hidden state. In the hidden state, almost no one could sense his existence. After entering the subverter space, his body would not have the slightest breath and would not be sensed, but can still be seen. 0 o'clock. Lu Han closed his eyes. His body was illusory for a moment, and then solidified again. Chapter-783 also a fucking juvenile. Disruptor space. The huge silver-white room remained the same as usual. There was a light ball floating in the middle of the room, but when the light ball suddenly cracked, Lu Han walked out of it quickly. The first thing to do when entering the subversive space, Lu Han did not say what to exchange, but sat on the ground, took out a few drops, and began to count. Yes, he didn't count it before, mainly because after he found a safe place, there were only a few minutes left before entering the subversive space, and he had to keep his hidden state, so it was not easy to count. There are thousands of dropped items, and the number is large, but the size is not large. The main reason is that most of them are ingots and psychic badges. Counting these two things first is the most important to Lu Han. With Lu Han's brainpower, he can quickly calculate the exact number just by sorting things out. 3 minutes later. 936 ingots, psychic badges. 2,357. After Lu Han got the exact number, he frowned for a while. Something was wrong, because the number of ingots was far less than the psychic badges. You know, killing puppets only drops two things, ingots and psychic badges, and the drop rate should be about the same. Elf, why are there so few ingots? How is it possible? I not only killed puppets, but also killed many puppet masters. They are ninjas, Lu Han asked inwardly. Because the subversive 3665 is too powerful, killing the weak ninja ingot drops is extremely low. At the same time, because the subversive 3665 has obtained too many ingots in low-level targets, which further reduces the ingot explosion rate, which affects the attack rate. The drop rate of ingots from killing puppets will affect non-human targets in all directions. Elite explained seriously. Well, you mean, Lu Han seemed to have heard some subtext. Puppets, or non-human targets, the more you kill, the lower the explosion rate. Yes, because the puppets are artificially manufactured. If the subversive 3665 master has the technology to create puppets, he will invest a huge amount of money to create low-level puppets in large quantities, and then let these puppets attack the subversives, passively enter the Yuhi-named state, and the protagonist will destroy them to get the drops. This behavior will be restricted. Disruptor 3665 can do this, but the drop rate will decrease at an accelerated rate. Understood. Lu Han nodded. Although the elf didn't say it very clearly, Lu Han still understood. Just to prevent Lu Han from cheating. The reason why the psychic badge will drop normally this time, and the ingot explosion rate is reduced, is because Lu Han has obtained too many ingots from low-level targets before, and his strength is too strong, which reduces the explosion rate. Now the psychic badge's explosion rate is reduced. The drop rate should still be normal, but as long as Lu Han kills more puppets, the drop rate will definitely get lower and lower. This reduction in the explosion rate is only aimed at targets that have a huge gap in strength with Lu Han. Generally speaking, when the target of Johnen's strength is reached, the explosion rate will not be reduced, and it will drop normally. However, whether it is a ninja or a puppet, the strength of Jonen is only a few. The ninja is better, the Chunin is more, and the puppet is really the strength of Genin mostly. Lu Han didn't think much about it. He could only stay in the subversive space for 30 minutes. Immediately count other things, the recovery that should be recovered. Can kill more than 300 puppet masters. This is outside of Lu Han's plan. If it wasn't for Kang Bai's self-destruction tactics in the later stage, Lu Han's rhythm would not be disrupted. In that case, he will kill more puppets, and if the puppet master is to die, it is estimated that only dozens of them will die. Kang Bai seemed to use tactics to restrain Lu Han, but in fact, he killed many puppet masters. Sunagakure village has suffered even more losses. After all, it takes at least 10 years to cultivate a mature puppet master, and puppets are really created. After recycling, Lu Han obtained more than 300 ingots. In addition to what Lu Han had before, Lu Han's total number of ingots has also exceeded 2,000. It took a total of 10 minutes before and after Lu Han completed all the inventory. Spiritual exchange item. Lu Han got up and looked at the ball of light, that is, the messenger of subversion said. Whoa! The light flickered, and a huge curtain was formed in front of Lu Han. There were more than 3,000 squares on the curtain, each of which was a kind of psychic exchange. There are only two major types of psychic exchange items, namely, Puppet Psychic, and Ninja Beast Psychic. Partner, in his growth process, a faceless man worth 550 psychic badges. The faceless man can't kill the enemy, he can only kill the subversives, he is the sparring puppet of the subversives. It is precisely because he has killed thousands of times with the faceless life and death that Lu Han has achieved today's swordsmanship, and now, the faceless people are useless, because Lu Han's strength has completely surpassed level 60. After all the exchange items appeared, Lu Hanji looked up at the top. What was the most valuable? Ninja Beast Psychic. Unlimited growth. Tame Behemoth Juvenile requires 2,350 badges. Puppet Channeling. Adjustable and limited to 80 high-level sparring combat puppets. Shadow Man 2,350 badges required. Lu Han had the urge to vomit blood. The psychic beasts that can be exchanged are actually juveniles. Isn't this bullshit? Unlimited growth, what do you mean? Lu Han asked. It's just that there is no upper limit of talent. It was the messenger of subversion who answered Lu Han. If you cultivate it properly, you can cultivate an existence comparable to 10 tails. Lu Han was not moved at all, but turned to Byakugan and said, what about the failure of training? Will die. The subversion messenger was concise. A good one will die. Lu Han is really not moved at all. Why? Because it must be extremely difficult for him to cultivate unrestricted growth ninja beasts. With that time, Lu Han could cultivate himself to be comparable to 10 tails, right? Why train ninjas? Isn't that sick? Adjusting the level 80 advanced sparring battle puppet Shadow Man is easy to understand. Like the faceless man, the strength is different. Obviously Lu Han can't use it. With his current strength, he will die when he fights with the 80-level sparring. Undoubtedly. No juveniles, no sparring. I want to be able to use it directly in battle. Lu Han read something, and glanced down quickly. Chapter-784-Soul of Transformation. After just glanced down a few times, Lu Han found some problems. He found many duplicates, but the prices were different. For example, the ninja beasts with unlimited growth are worth 2,000, worth 2,100, and some 2,150. Although the names are different, the prefixes are the same, and they can grow unlimitedly. Speaking of sparring puppets, the same is true. The 80-level sparring puppets with the lowest price only need 1,800 psychic badges. Why? A tailed beast with unlimited growth, and a sparring. The same talent or role, but different prices. Lu Han asked. The attributes are different. The most expensive unrestricted growth ninja has time and space attributes. It has not been unlocked yet. The things that Disruptor 3665 can see now, some are good at fire attributes, and some have healing tendencies. Understood. Lu Han interrupted the subversion messenger, explaining clearly, where's the puppet? The functions are different. The subversive messenger said, for example, the faceless man exchanged before the subversive 3665 actually only has some functions of the sparring puppet, and the more advanced sparring puppet has more functions, because the subversive 3665 has not been exchanged yet. So I can't explain more. Well, I understand. Lu Han nodded, but it was easy to understand. It's like buying a car. the same car, with or without leather seats, with or without electric ears, with or without steering wheel heating, the price is definitely different. Obviously, the more expensive the sparring puppet of the same class, the more comprehensive the functions. Perhaps it is not just as simple as sparring, it can also be a teacher. Continuing to scan, Luhan was still looking for a puppet who could fight directly. Must be cage level. Not cage level, it has been unlocked before. Super Elite ninjas only need 300 psychic badges to exchange, while Super Elite combat puppets need 500 psychic badges to exchange. The reason for the price the difference is because the puppet is immortal. After being destroyed, after a 24-hour cooling period, Luhan can channel out again. If you die, you will not be able to channel. Of course, the ninja beast also has something that puppets can't match. That is, ninja beasts have wisdom, but puppets don't. However, super elite ninjas or puppets are useless to Luhan. He has already surpassed the super elite by a large level, and he has QB, 9 tails. What a shit ninja. Go to hell, if you die, you will waste your badges, and the puppet's words. Luhan is close to the level 70 white silver, S. Strength. To manipulate a puppet with a level 50 gold strength, he will go crazy. This will not only make him stronger in combat, but will become weaker. After all, as long as he manipulates the puppet, his own strength will be difficult to exert. Therefore, Luhan can only exchange puppets now, and there are 2 requirements. First, he must reach cage level strength, which is a big threshold. After passing cage level combat strength, he can really help Luhan. Second, the most critical place, this puppet must be able to fight on its own. If Luhan can manipulate to show his strength, Luhan might as well not exchange. He wants to enter the village of Omegakure. The guarantee of his life is Hiraishin's technique. He must run around. It is impossible to control the puppet to fight, so he can't even exert his own strength. Luhan continued to look down. There are many ninja beasts or puppets with the same price and the same nature and different names. This is normal, but the appearance is different and the names are different. The highest level 70 level sparring puppet is priced at 1800 badges, which is the same as the lowest. The price of the 80 level sparring puppets is the same, but the former is definitely fully functional, and the latter only has partial functions. Luhan was very moved, but he didn't change it. He wants cage-level battle puppets. The kind that can fight on their own. You don't need a high level of wisdom, you just need to have a little self-awareness and be able to exert your strength. You can't expect a battle puppet to have the wisdom of a faceless man, that's unscientific. Luhan suddenly thought of something. Can the faceless man be recycled? Luhan asked. Only then did he think that if the faceless man could be recycled, wouldn't he be able to get more than 200 badges according to the 50% return? You can try, replied the subversive messenger. What's your answer? Luhan said angrily. After thinking about it, he didn't act. In fact, he didn't want to take back the faceless man. The faceless man accompanied him for 3 years, helping and witnessing his growth. It is of great significance. If possible, Luhan would like to keep it forever. Luhan continued to look down, and suddenly saw a very strange exchange item. Puppet Psychic. Limited to level 70. Limited to adjust the soul of transformation, requires 1650 badges. Restricting the soul of level 70 adjustment and conversion. What is this? Luhan asked. In exchange for this item, Subversive 3665 can convert the exchanged limited adjustment puppets into battle puppets. This conversion is irreversible. The power of the converted puppets used must not exceed Subversive 3665 and level 70, and can only inherit Subversive 1. One is good at ability, and the rest will be randomly generated. As the subversion messenger spoke, Luhan's eyes widened little by little, becoming more and more round. What the hell? This thing can convert sparring puppets into battle puppets. Luhan was a little stunned. It took a while to react, and he waved his hand violently. Whoa! The faceless man appeared beside Luhan, with the same figure as Luhan, but without a face. No, it should be him. Can it be used on him? Faceless Man. Luhan was a little excited. Is it possible to exchange this to turn Faceless Man into a fighting puppet? His fighting IQ, will it be kept? It can be converted, said the subversive messenger. The battle IQ will also be retained, but the subversive must be reminded that once such conversion puppets are dead in battle, the cooling time for rechanneling will be 72 hours, and such conversion puppets there is no way to stay away from disruptors. Quote. None of this matters. Luhan didn't care about this at all, and immediately asked another key question. Strength. Is his transformed strength the strongest level 60 gold boss? Chapter-781-800 Resurrection of the Faceless. The strength of the Faceless Man is not fixed, but there is an upper limit and a lower limit. The upper limit is the level 60 gold boss, and now Luhan does not know the detailed rules for the transformation of sparring puppets into combat puppets. The strength of the conversion puppet depends on the subversive 3665, and it will be randomly converted according to the number of training sessions with the subversive. The Faceless Man has reached the maximum number of training times, and can theoretically be converted into the strongest strength. Okay. Luhan was relieved, and immediately raised his hand. Change the soul of transformation. The exchange is complete. The subversion messenger replied. The 1650 psychic badge was automatically deducted, and there was an extra ink scroll in Luhan's space backpack. He immediately took out the scroll, and just as he was about to open it, he hesitated. How to use it? Give it to the puppet to use, said the subversive messenger. Luhan handed the scroll to the Faceless Man, and ordered the Faceless Man to open the scroll. The Faceless Man, who did not activate the sparring state, seemed a little stiff. After opening the scroll, a black light shot out from the scroll, covering the Faceless Man. The black light does not dissipate, and some options are also displayed in the light. Please choose the subversive tendency to inherit. The subversive messenger said. The conversion puppet is an ability inherited from the subversive, and other abilities are randomly generated. There are 6 options that the Faceless can inherit, namely Kaiden, Fire Style, Raiden, Thunder Style, Futon, Wind Style, Sword Art, Sharingan, Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse. Can Kekkei Genkai also inherit? Luhan asked in shock. Yes, but to remind Subversive 3665 that he can only inherit the ability of no more than 60 level stratum, such as the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, the effect of this ability has exceeded the 60 level stratum, so when converting puppet inheritance, you can only get Mangekyo Sharingan at most, and the pupil technique is random and will not be the same as the subversive pupil technique. Quote. Luhan began to hesitate, paused and asked again, he can't inherit Horaishin, right? The time-space ninjutsu of the subversive master is too small, it is not a system, and the transformation puppet cannot be inherited. Luhan nodded, he could understand this. Speaking of Kaiden, Fire Style, in addition to Master Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation and Great Fire Destruction, Luhan has mastered at least nearly 100 C-level B-level A-level Kaiden, Fire Style, ninjutsu. While Raiden, Thunder Style, there are relatively few masters, but there must be dozens of them. Mainly Luhan has the Raiden, Thunder Style, Chakra mode. If the Futon, Wind Style, Luhan master has 3 kinds of Futon, Wind Style S, there are at least 100 kinds of ninjutsu. C-level, B-level, and A-level. Horaishin belongs to time-space ninjutsu, and the master, S, is indeed pitiful. As for swordsmanship, Sharingan, and Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse, of course, needless to say, the latter 2 are Kekkei Genkai that are self-contained, and swordsmanship. Luhan's swordsmanship has been cultivated in thousands of battles. If there is no system, he will be killed. Luhan thought for a while, and immediately denied Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse. Shikatsumyaku, Dead Bone Pulse's ultimate move is too chakra intensive, and a normal level 60 boss is unplayable at all. Sharingan doesn't seem to be very interesting. In a one-on-one fight, Sharingan is extremely powerful, and if it is a melee, Susanoo is simply a living target. The Susanoo opened by Luhan with Eternal Mangekyo will be destroyed, not to mention the Susanoo opened by Mangekyo. Knife technique. Perhaps, ninjutsu is more suitable for group battles, but Lu Han still prefers swordsmanship. Swordsmanship. Lu Han decided. Confirm the inheritance. The converted puppet will inherit 93% of the host's swordsmanship strength. This time it was the elf who gave the prompt. Other abilities will be generated immediately. Huh. Lu Han raised his brows. He didn't expect that the proportion of the faceless man's inheritance would be so high. You must know that Lu Han's current strength should be close to the level 70 white silver boss, and the faceless man's strength is the strongest level 60 gold boss. That is to say, after inheriting 93% of Lu Han's swordsmanship strength, faceless man's strength will not enter the 70th level. If you think about it, Lu Han's strength comes from a variety of supports, such as physical magic, Raiden Thunder style, chakra mode, angry blood state, etc. But without these supports, in terms of pure swordsmanship, Lu Han would just cross the level 70 threshold. The generation is complete. Please subvert 3665 to name the new puppet. Elf said. At the same moment, the black light on the faceless man dissipated, and he changed. Although his height and body did not change, he was exactly the same as Lu Han, but all the equipment on his body disappeared, and he was only wearing a black robe. Because he had no face, Lu Han did not I can't see his expression or whether his eyes are bright. Name it. Just call it faceless, faceless. Well, that's it. Named complete. New puppet named, faceless, codenamed, faceless. Faceless man below. The faceless man suddenly moved, knelt down on one knee and said in a heavy voice, "See master." Lu Han was overjoyed and said with a smile, "Get up, Don't call me master, weird, call me Lord Hangguang." Yes, Lord Hangguang. The faceless man got up. Lu Han waved his hand again, and took out 15 kunai, 10 shuriken, 20 detonating talismans, and 2 short knives from the space backpack. These are all penultimate level weapons, all of them are magic weapons, that is no special effects. Finally, Lu Han took out a long knife. This knife is longer than the Sword of Kings, with a slimmer blade and a longer handle, but it is still a deconstructed tachi. This knife is called Blade of the Rare Eagle Exhibition. Lu Han can't remember which cage level boss he got it from, but he still remembers that this rare weapon sells for as high as 210 ingots and has special abilities. Eagle Exhibition. The effect is that after injecting chakra into the blade can be controlled to grow longer, and the length limit is 6 meters. This knife was Lu Han's backup weapon, so it was never recovered. Now it is appropriate to use this knife for the faceless person, because the effect of making the knife longer is not a strong person who uses a knife, and it is impossible to play. There are more than 700 psychic badges left. Lu Han was suddenly stunned. More than 700, can they still be exchanged for cage-level battle puppets? It is definitely not enough to have only the faceless man as a helper, and the faceless man is a puppet who is mainly attacked and killed, and his defense is not good. How can he help Lu Han to attract firepower? Chapter-781-800 Shield Soldier. Lu Han glanced down quickly and found a psychic exchange in the 700 range. I still remember the exchange a long time ago. When I exchanged for the faceless man, Lu Han only unlocked the exchange worth 550 badges, but this time it unlocked more than 2,000, and the 700 range can naturally be seen. There really is more than one. Puppet Psychic. White Armored Giant Monster Level 60 Inferior Puppet, requires 700 badges. Mantis Giant Monster Level 60 Inferior Puppet, requires 700 badges. 8-Clawed Giant Monster Level 60 Inferior Puppet, requires 700 badges. Why are all giant beasts? The giant beast puppets mean very large. Lu Han looked at the boxes with the same exchange price. There were images in the boxes. Lu Han could see the shape of these giant beast puppets. For example, the giant praying mantis looks like a praying mantis, but its size is indistinguishable. About 10 meters high. The subversive messenger was brief and concise, and then said, "The giant beast puppet can only attack physically, not any attribute attack. It is a pure power-type non-humanoid giant puppet. Chicken ribs. Luhan gave a 2-word evaluation. It's not that Luhan doesn't like big ones, but you have to be big enough, otherwise it's a living target, such as the 10-meter-tall mantis giant beast puppet, which is as high as a 3-story building. Just a single attack can destroy a house. Is fierce, but such a big target, thrown into the army, can be defeated with a wave of ninjutsu. If Luhan really wants to exchange for a giant beast puppet, you must be at least 50 or 60 meters tall. Although it is also a living target, you are too huge. Even if you rush forward and push it hard, you can cause extremely terrifying damage. If you are 10 meters high, it is far worse and cannot meet the standard of flat push. This can't be done. Why didn't I figure it out just now? Luhan couldn't help but glance at the faceless man, and immediately shook his head again. I don't regret it. I just don't regret it. After all, after the faceless man became a fighting puppet, Luhan's total expenditure on him has reached 2,110 psychic medals. Look up again. Luhan had to look at the price of a suitable battle puppet. Originally there were 2 requirements, but now Luhan has added another one. In addition to being a cage level and not requiring manipulation, it must be a humanoid. Time passed by, and there were too many exchange items, so Luhan had to look at them one by one. Remind the subversive 3665, you still have 5 minutes to stay. The subversive messenger reminded. Well, Luhan responded with a nasal voice and continued to watch. After another minute, Luhan's eyes suddenly lit up. Puppet channeling. Barbarian Shield Soldier Level 60 Superior Puppet, requires 1500 badges. The pattern in the box is a man who looks extremely majestic. His skin is brown, with some meaning of the country of thunder. This man is wearing fat canvas shorts, his calves are exposed, and his ankles have rivet anklets. He is naked. The feet, the upper body are wrapped in extremely thick chains, and the neck is surrounded by rivet collars, with scars all over the face, hair disheveled, and looks particularly fierce. He put one hand on the weapon. The weapon was a huge shield, wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. The tip at the bottom of the shield was on the ground. Only this weapon seemed to be a power puppet. This, Barbarian Shield Soldier, does he know ninjutsu? Luhan asked quickly. Doten, Earth-style Grandmaster. The messenger of subversion said. It's a corpse puppet. Most of the puppets in the Sunagakur village are mechanical puppets. Only corpse puppets. Speaking of which, the most famous corpse puppet in the original book is naturally Pain 6 Paths. It's up to him. Exchange. You wait. Luhan remembered that he didn't have enough badges, so he did a quick mental calculation, then turned on the universal converter, invested 1,600 ingots, and exchanged for 800 psychic badges. In this way, Luhan has less than 500 ingots, and more than 1,500 psychic badges. Change it. The shield soldier is tolerant. Luhan said again. Exchange completed, said the subversive messenger. The exchanged puppet was sent directly into Luhan's space backpack. Luhan immediately waved his hand, then jumped back and took a step back, only to look up and see the face of the shield soldier. This guy looks so scary. Nearly 2 meters tall. Lao Ai is only 2.05 meters tall. However, in Hokage's original work, there is indeed an existence close to 2.3 meters tall, and that is the 5-tailed Jinchuriki column Libin in the original work. Moreover, this savage shield soldier is not only tall, but also very strong. Luhan estimates that this guy weighs 200 kilograms. The faceless man was exactly the same height as Luhan, about 1.8 meters, and was very thin, only 70 kilograms, standing beside the savage shield soldier like a child. Of course, in terms of strength, the faceless man is definitely stronger. This guy is the most powerful level 60 gold boss, with a high combat IQ scaring people to death. Even if he encounters Hanzo, he will fight for 10 minutes or even longer. Not a problem. The biggest advantage of puppets is that they are not afraid of anything. They have no emotions at all, and nothing will affect their combat status, but people can't. Is he wise? Luhan asked a very idiotic question. No, the elf answered. I mean, is he conscious? Yes, said the elf again. Wisdom and consciousness are obviously two concepts. For example, a baby has consciousness, but when it comes to wisdom, he really doesn't understand anything. How should I direct him? Luhan asked again. You can give orders directly with your thoughts at close range, and you can give orders verbally at a distance. Elf said, he will follow any orders from the subversive, such as randomly killing enemies, defending, and stopping fighting. Understood. Luhan nodded. It's still pretty easy to use. Although it's not as good as the Faceless Man, it's also very convenient to control. For example, Luhan asked him to attack a Megakure village from the North Gate, and support the Faceless Man after 5 minutes. That's enough, he will take pictures. Do. Remind the subversive 3665. The voice of the subversive messenger suddenly sounded. None of the battle puppets you exchanged can stay away from you. This is nonsense, of course Luhan knows it. Remind the subversive 3665 again. The subversive messenger said again, a conscious battle puppet can be handed over to the conversion puppet for command and control. Chapter-797-Spooky Konoha. What do you mean? Luhan blinked, unable to believe it. Because the transformation puppet has intelligence, the combat IQ exceeds the average human level, and its strategic ability is enough to make it a commander. Subversion Messenger even said, therefore, Subversive 3665 can authorize the conscious battle puppet to be handed over to the transformation puppet Wisdom. That's fine, Luhan exclaimed, almost not jumping up. If the Faceless Man were to command the barbarian shield soldiers, Luhan would no longer have to worry about commanding the puppets. The two puppets who could fight independently, one attack and one defender, cooperated, and their overall strength would definitely enter the 70th level. 60 gold bosses fighting each other can never defeat a level 70 bronze boss, but if they can cooperate, their strength is definitely not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. For example, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru, their current strengths are all level 60 white silvers, but if they cooperate, their strength will increase several times, and it is definitely not a problem to play at level 70. Luhan turned his head to look at the Faceless Man and the barbarian shield soldier. There were two puppets, one big and one small. There was no trace of the puppets on their bodies. One was attacking and the other was defending. You, listen to him in the future. Luhan looked at the savage shield soldier and pointed to the faceless human. The barbarian shield soldier couldn't speak, but Luhan could feel that he accepted the order. He will follow you in the future, and you will command the battle. Luhan said to faceless humanity again. Yes, Lord Hangguang, said the faceless man. The faceless man's equipment has already been prepared, and the barbarian shield soldier brought his own equipment when he exchanged it. The giant shield is more than 2 meters high and nearly 1 meter 8 at its widest point. It is larger than the door panel and looks extremely thick. Luhan thought about it for a while, and then took out another Hiraishin Kuwu for the faceless man, and asked him to carry it with him and not use it. Although the puppet can be resurrected, the resurrection time of the faceless man is as long as 3 days. That is to say, as long as he dies in a battle, Luhan will not be able to psychic him again, and he can't fight for 3 days in a battle. Luhan had not fought for such a long time. Therefore, whether it is possible to lose or not to lose, at a critical moment, Luhan still has to rescue him if he has a chance. After the puppets were exchanged, the ingots were converted into psychic metals before, and there were hundreds of them left. Luhan had nothing to exchange, so he didn't use them for the time being. After putting the 2 puppets into the space backpack, Luhan left the subverter space. Giant bamboo forest, rainy night. Luhan appeared in the forest, keeping the insight map open, turned into a glimpse, and ran away in the direction of a Megakure village. The current time is 0:28 in the middle of the night, and at the limit speed of Luhan's normal state, it will take at least 2.5 hours to run from here to a Megakure village. That is, Lu Han will arrive outside a Megakure village around 3 o'clock in the second half of the night. There can be no delay. Because of his attack on the Sunagakure Puppet Master Army, it will be completely spread in the country of rain tomorrow. When all parties move, Lu Han will not be able to start. Be quick. His plan has come to the last step. Raid a Megakure village. Meanwhile, the Land of Fire, the hidden village of Konoha. The whole village of Konoha was already brightly lit, with constant roars and explosions, and there were shouts everywhere. An hour and a half ago, the demigod Hanzo, Tsuchikajinoki, the third generation, and 8 Iwagakure village powerhouses raided Konoha. According to the plan, it was originally Hanzo who appeared and launched an attack in the west area of Konoha to attract firepower. When most of the ninjas in Konoha were led to the west area, Onoki would lead the others from the southeast side of Konoha directly into Konoha and go straight to the largest of Konoha. Treasure House. The plan is simple, but there are many details to pay attention to. Little careless, Konoha knows that Akatsuki has other enemies, so protect the treasure house first. It will be bad. With the strength of Hanzo and Onoki, they are not the opponents of Konoha's more than 4,000 ninjas at all. Killing is meaningless, it is too easy to fall into it. If you can't rob the treasure house, it will be in vain. What Hanzo did not expect was that the plan was implemented very smoothly. An hour ago, Konoha was played around by them. The ninjas moved back and forth. Onoki successfully hit the vicinity of the largest treasure house, and Hanzo also got rid of the enemy and rushed to support. Although there were some situations that Hanzo could not understand, such as when he raided a camp of the Konoha garrison, there were only a few ninjas in the camp, and they did not dare to fight him. Or, he was attacked by the Konoha Anbu led by White Fang, but White Fang retreated with a single blow, as if something had gone wrong elsewhere. And so on. But Hanzo didn't change anything because of this. The matter has come to this point, even if he has doubts, he can't retreat. Half an hour later. The situation became a little weird. The Konoha garrison, which had already joined the battlefield, actually withdrew, and set up a circle around the outer circle, as if to prevent the enemy from escaping, and those who fought with Hanzo, Onoki and others were all masters. Scary amount. Although these masters and powerhouses could not defeat Hanzo and Onoki, the two supreme powerhouses joined forces, but they managed to hold them back, making the battle stalemate. It was only a few hundred meters away from the entrance to the treasure house, and for half an hour, Hanzo, Onoki, and the 5 Iwagakure powerhouses could not advance an inch. The other 3 Iwagakure powerhouses had already died in battle. The situation was critical, and Hanzo broke out in a cold sweat. Now that they have been held back, it would be fine if they retreated immediately, but they have to fight again. If the Konoha garrison suddenly surrounds them, they will all die. There is no second way to break out of the full force. At this moment, Hanzo has understood. It was a trap. Konoha knew they were coming. But why not let the garrison be surrounded? Konoha village, under the Hokage building. I don't know how deep, inside the secret room. Hundreds of ninjas are busy, some are running to pass on detailed information, some are taking notes, some are guarding. In the middle of the secret room is a huge crystal ball, controlled by 12 ninjas, showing the battlefield screen. Kaharu Udatane, Homura Mitokado and more than a dozen other ninjas with high positions in Konoha, but with average strength, all gather here. Surround them, don't care how many people die, Homura Mitokado advised. Chapter-781-800 to reduce the number of deaths. In front of the huge crystal ball, Kaharu Udatane walked back and forth anxiously, keeping his eyes on the picture on the crystal ball. Hearing Homura Mitokado speak, she didn't say a word. Currently Lu Han is not in Konoha village. As Hokage's assistant, Kaharu Udatane has the highest command of the war. She can give any order. As long as we can kill Hanzo and Onoki, no, even one of them, we will win this battle. Homura Mitokado advised again. Kaharu Udatane remained silent, she was hesitating and struggling. The picture on the crystal ball. Hataki Sakumo, Hyuga Huyung, Hyuga Haeyoung, Uchiha Leyoung, etc., led a dozen elite Jonin Hanzo and Sanshoyu, Inazuka Tears, Tsunade, Jiraiya, Orochimaru, etc., also in more than a dozen aided by the elite Jonin, besieging Onoki, along with hundreds of other ninjas, besieging the other 5 Iwagakure powerhouses. On the outside, there are hundreds of elites from large and small clans such as the Uchiha clan and the Hyuga clan to assist all parties in the battle. The two sides played indissoluble. At first glance, Konoha has an incomparably huge advantage. There are 10 shadow ninjas alone, and there are even more super elites, elite Jonin. But just having the quantity is useless. You must know that Hanzo and Onoki are all superpowers, and they all have the strength of a dozen or a few thousand. They are all fierce and not like humans. In addition to the master sword technique, Hanzo also uses the Grandmaster Kaden, fire-style, detonating talisman secret technique. Once a large-scale explosion formation was enough to force the shadows to retreat at the same time. Hanzo is stronger than before, his left arm puppet prosthesis is so powerful, and when he uses his left-handed knife, White Fang is always knocked back. And Onoki, this guy looks even more terrifying. An S-level Doden, Earth-style, forbidden technique is enough to attack the entire battlefield in all directions. They were fierce at this time, just like Luhan at the time, when they were in Kurigakure village, when they were in Iwagakure village. However, they did not have the violent killing methods of Luhan, and they were entangled by a large group of strong men, and they did not kill them. How many people? If this situation continues, the outcome is unpredictable. Mainly because the garrison army withdrew and did not participate in the war. In fact, the most effective way to deal with strong men like Hanzo, Onoki, or Luhan is for a large group of ninjas to pounce on them and attack the sky with overwhelming ninjutsu attacks. No one can stand it anymore. When Luhan was in Iwagakure village, he was because of being attacked by the group. Both Susanoo and Wuju Rashomon were blown up, and he was seriously injured. Right now, however, things are weird for Konoha. The garrison was surrounded by various places, and the encirclement was very large, but this could only prevent the enemy from escaping, and could not decide the outcome. What if Onoki used his ultimate move to violently kill a few shadow ninjas, reverse the situation, and win the battle? Simply put, Konoha's current situation is a melee for the strong, and the weak. Watch the fun. I can only watch the excitement. Even if some people want to intervene, they can't intervene. It's easy to hit their own people with big moves, and if they go to fight, there is no room to intervene. Kaharu Yuditane looked at the situation in the crystal ball. She remained silent. The current strange situation is not caused by her. It seems that this battle was directed by her, but in fact, they all followed Luhan's orders before leaving. It was Luhan who led everything. The garrison corps would be withdrawn, which was arranged by Luhan after calculating the situation of the battle. The reason is to reduce the number of deaths. A simple and straightforward reason. In Luhan's opinion, it's not worth it to exchange the lives of thousands of Konoha ninjas for the lives of Onoki or Hanzo. And the death of thousands of ninjas is still a conservative estimate. If Hanzo and Onoki are really forced into a desperate situation, it is likely to appear. An extreme case, that is, they killed people and broke through. Very possible. After all, they are two superpowers, not one. They continue to use big moves, and no matter how tight the encirclement is, they have to be torn apart. Therefore, Luhan made a strategy before leaving. No crowd tactics were used. Those ninjas with too much weaker strength should not go up and die. Luhan killed too many people and knew that he was pressing the strongest. What casualties will occur? To deal with the strong, you have to use the strong. Of course, Luhan also had a backup move. He still devised a way to kill Hanzo and Onoki without using crowd tactics, but he didn't know if it would be successful. Kaharu Yuditane's silence came from Luhan's exhortation. However, Luhan still gave Kaharu Yuditane the right to act according to his needs. That is to say, Kaharu Yuditane could strictly implement Lu Han's plan or not. But the current situation is that it is uncertain whether Lu Han's backup moves can be used or not. Kaharu Yuditane has two choices. The first is to maintain the status quo and continue to fight to see who wins and who loses. The second is to let the Legion surround him. There are two consequences of the siege: either Konoha will die 1,000 or 2,000 people and kill Onoki and Hanzo, or kill more people, and Hanzo and Onoki will be seriously injured and break through. No back move arranged by Lu Han. Kaharu Yuditane will not think about it so much, and the Legion will surround and fight. But now, Kaharu Yuditane looked at the crystal ball, finally raised his hand and said, "Pass my order." At this moment, in the crystal ball, the battle situation changed. White Fang's hand, who had been fighting Hanzo under pressure, was shot flying, his body was injured, he vomited blood and flew out. Hanzo took advantage of the situation to break through the gentle fist method of Hyuga Huyang and Hyuga Haeyoung, and went berserk to defeat Uchiha Leyoung. Susanoo, break out. But he didn't escape. Konoha treasure house at the foot of the mountain. Inuzuka, who was fighting with Onoki, noticed the situation and ran towards Hanzo with the body of a three-headed giant wolf. Beside Hanzo, the two of them were one after the other, tearing apart many barriers, and they went straight into the Konoha treasure house. Then, there was a roar. The entrance to the treasure house was directly destroyed from the inside, cutting off the way for everyone to chase in. It seems that they didn't want to go back the same way. There must be other ways to leave the treasure house. Therein, Homura Mitokado was in a hurry, looking like it was too late. The entrance should have been destroyed just now. What should I do now? Okay, Kaharu Yuditane smiled. Homura Mitokado was stunned. Chapter-781-800 back move. Lu Han's last move is in the treasure house. The plan must be in all aspects, and the most optimistic situation. For example, Hanzo and Onoki were not in good condition and were directly besieged and killed by the strong. Of course, this is too taken for granted. They are all battle-hardened existences. Since there are the most optimistic, and there are the worst, it is natural that they rushed into the treasure house and stole the treasure. Lu Han's last move was designed for these two to be able to rush into the treasury. There are only a few people who know the details of this latter move, including Kaharu Yuditane, Inuzuka Tears, Hitaki Tsukumo, and an older generation of strong guards who guard the treasury. Others, some also knew part of Akatsuki's situation, but not the specifics. Homura Mitokado looked at Kaharu Yuditane blankly, not understanding what she meant by this good. How could it be good? Homura Mitokado knew very well that among the three treasuries in Konoha, the treasury built under the mountainside was the largest, and it contained 400 million taels worth of property. To mention that the money was robbed by Hanzo and Onoki, even if it was destroyed by them, for Konoha, the loss is the same. Destroying treasures is easy, one Kaiden fire style ninjutsu is enough. There are only 10 million taels in that treasury, Kaharu Yuditane said suddenly. Homura Mitokado was stunned again. Originally, I hoped to directly introduce them into the treasure house and bury them, but Hokage-sama said that this is too fake, and the enemy will definitely find the problem, so whether the treasure house is real or false, we will protect it as real. Kaharu Yuditane explained, there is indeed a lot of money in there, and the piles are very large, but the real value is only 10 million taels. Southeast of Konoha village, at the southernmost tip of the mountain where Hokage Rock is located, at the foot of the mountain. Hanzo and Onoki rushed into the treasury, they were destroyed, and a part of the mountain collapsed. The roar disappeared, but the smoke and dust had not yet dissipated. Inuzuka Tears chased before the collapsed entrance, a strange color flashed in his eyes, and the three giant wolves suddenly stood up and turned into rays of light. Inuzuka Tears and the giant dog ended up merging, and they all showed their bodies. Kill them. Don't live. Inuzuka turned around in tears and shouted loudly. He had the highest command on the scene. Hearing his order, those Konoha ninjas who were a little stunned because Hanzo and Onoki rushed into the treasure house, joined the battle again. 5 Iwagakure powerhouses are under siege with unprecedented power. And they are dead. Inuzuka ran away again with tears, and shouted at the ninjas of the garrison army. The third group, the detonation cone, come on. Of Inuzuka's tears, hundreds of ninjas ran out from the 3rd Brigade of the Konoha garrison that had been prepared for a long time. These ninjas all carried black long cones, 10 per person. These long cones were all 1 meter 5 in length. On the left and right, there are the thickness of the baby's arms, one end is sharp and the other is flat. In fact, there is no such thing as a detonating cone. These things called detonating cones are all transformed from hollow cones and detonating talismans. They are made of hollow steel pipes into a 1 meter 5 long awl, and then stuffed inside. 10 detonators. According to Luhan, this thing is the Ninja World version of the detonator. Detonators, most of them are used to blow up mountains. Hundreds of Konoha ninjas ran down the mountain with the detonator cones on their backs and ran up the collapsed surface. Then, under the command of Inuzuka Tears, they jumped up one by one, raised the detonator cones and threw them out. Bang, bang, bang. Like a javelin, each detonating cone was stabbed into the mountain, all of them were stabbed in, and the end was no longer visible, leaving a dark round hole under the mountain, and I don't know how deep it was pierced. Each of the more than 100 ninjas jumped 10 times and threw them 10 times, stabbing a total of more than 1,000 detonating cones into the mountain. When they were done, the battle at the foot of the mountain was over. 5 Iwagakure strongmen died in battle. Stay away from here. Inuzuka ordered again to let all other ninjas stay away from this area in the southeastern corner of Dashin Mountain, leaving only the hundreds of ninjas who had thrown their cones before. This is going to blow up a mountain. Tsunade stepped back and asked in surprise. At this time, she looked disgraced, with dust all over her body, and every clean place was dirty, but she was not injured. In the group, only Jiraiya was slightly injured, and it was not a big problem. Break the mountain. White Fang with a pale face gave Tsunade a positive answer. He knew the plan. Buried Hanzo and Onoki alive. Tsunade understood the purpose of this, but his face was not right. There are very few mountains in the land of fire, but as long as it is a rock mountain, it is extremely strong, especially on this one, and it is like this on the outside. Explode, I'm afraid. No way. Tsunade knows the location of the treasure house. She knows that from the treasure house to the outermost part of the mountain, the thickness of the rock is hundreds of meters. With the blessing of the incantation seal, it is difficult to shake. Someone will destroy the curse seal defense inside. White Fang explained in a low voice. Also, the inside will also explode, and the inside has been arranged a long time ago. If the inside and outside explode, the treasure house will collapse completely. In the passageway of the treasure house, it was extremely dark, and there was only a lamp hanging on the stone wall every 20 meters. The two figures hurried forward, and Onoki's face was even uglier than the death of the entire village. Just now, it was Hanzo who destroyed the entrance on his own initiative. That's right, it's impossible for the two of them to be trapped here. It's not difficult to dig a passage to get out, but those 5 Iwagakure powerhouses were left out. According to Onoki's thoughts, he hoped that after he and Hanzo entered the treasure house, the strong Konoha would chase after him. In that case, his 5 subordinates would have a chance to escape. If the passage is destroyed, it can also stop everyone. But Hanzo is too impatient. Those 5 loyal subordinates to Onoki will surely die. Done. The 8 strong men brought by Onoki were all damaged in Konoha, and the loss is not too big. People can be retrained after they die, so there's no need to be sad about it. Hanzo seemed to see what Onoki was thinking, and said lightly as he ran, "We've already come in, and at least half of Konoha's wealth can be plundered. With this money, those who lose nothing." Chapter 0800-Damn. Hanzo's words are hard to hear. He is such a person. For him, as long as the benefits are sufficient, it is worth dying a few people. Onoki is very resentful, but he also thinks what Hanzo said makes sense. People are dead, but Onoki feels a lot better at the thought of getting a lot of money right away. There was light in front of the two, and it was coming. The hall of the treasure house is extremely bright. There are a lot of sundries in the hall, such as piles of copper coins, a lot of military supplies such as dao, kunai, shuriken, and some nearly 100 large boxes, some of which are open. It's filled with gold-silver jewels, some with gold bricks, but most of the boxes are covered with lids. Hephatongyans turned to sleep. He sat cross-legged on top of the piled-up big boxes. His eyes were closed, and there were chakra waves rippling on his body. He was the only one in the treasury. At the beginning of the initial battle, the other two older generation strongmen who guarded the treasury left the secret passage. Silent. Suddenly, he opened his eyes when he turned to bed, and he felt Hanzo and Onoki coming. Without hesitation, he rolled over from the big box and quickly hand seal. Ninja Earth Gang seal released. The airflow erupted from the body of the sleeper, and rolled over the entire treasury. Curse marks appeared on the stone walls around the treasury. After the black spells appeared, they flickered twice, and then disappeared completely. The seal used to strengthen the treasury has been lifted. At the same time, two glimpses rushed into the hall from the front entrance. It was Hanzo and Onoki. Seeing the treasure in the hall, Hanzo and Onoki were both happy, but they didn't even pay attention to the sleepover, because this is an old guy, too old, no matter how strong it can't be the two of them. Man's opponent. When he turned to bed, he was expressionless and didn't say a word. He walked to the northwest corner of the main hall and kicked open the box. There was a small door behind it. He got in, and his breath quickly went away. Boom. There was an explosion at the small door, and the hole was collapsed and buried. HMPH. You run fast. Hanzo snorted coldly. Be careful, Onoki warned. Hanzo gave Onoki a sideways look, showing a sneer. Is he cheating? The strongest are afraid of cheating. Whether it is Hanzo or Onoki, he has survived to this day, and he has no idea how many intrigues and tricks he has experienced. It is not that Hanzo is not afraid of calculating, he just feels that what Onoki has said is superfluous. The matter is over, the treasure is in front of him, can he still retreat? How do you bring these things? Hanzo asked, but he was curious. Psychic beast, Onoki said calmly. Hanzo raised his brows. Hey. I thought there was some special method, such as Hengguang's other space ninjutsu. The psychic beasts are really. In fact, Hanzo also relies on psychic beasts. Either he looked down on Onoki, or was unhappy that Onoki pretended to be mysterious before. The two walked separately. One went to the north of the main hall, the other went to the south of the main hall, biting their hand seal almost at the same time. Spiritual. Spiritual. Bang, bang. Two groups of white smoke rose, and two behemoths appeared in the main hall. The one that appeared on Hanzo's side was naturally the Sanjiao fish, while the one on Onoki's side turned out to be a pangolin. It was smaller than the Sanjiao fish, but it was huge. I just don't know if there is any combat power. Sanjiao fish can burrow into the ground, they can escape by swallowing the treasure, and pangolins can naturally burrow into the ground. The two began to command their respective psychic beasts to eat the treasures. First eat the scattered finances, weapons and the like are not needed, they are all standard weapons used in the army, and they are not worth much, mainly gold, silver and bronze. 3 things, and jewelry. At the same time, inside the secret passage. The very narrow passage seems to have not been dug out for a long time. Water is still seeping in some places, and there is no lighting in the passage. In the turn of the bed, holding a glowing bead in his hand, he hurried forward along the secret passage. The exit of this secret passage is in the forest behind Konoha, which is very close to Anbu. However, Anbu ninjas do not know that this secret passage exists. Apart from Luhan, only Kaharu Udatane and the 3 older generation strongmen who guard the treasure house know about it. After all, it wasn't long before they were dug out, and there was no need to let too many people know about it. As he moved to a higher speed, he was also estimating the distance in his mind. He wanted to detonate the treasure house, but he had to consider his own side, so as not to be affected by the treasure house. If the secret passage collapsed to where he was, then he would be dead. The secret path is not straight, but curved. After the ground has not been carved, it is very uneven, but for the sleeper, there is no concept of whether it is easy to walk or not. After all, the strength is here. All the way. Turning to bed, he just passed a water seepage location, and quickly went away, only to see a black arm sticking out from the water-stained stone wall, and then, a person emerged from it. Half black and half white, it's a combination of black Zetsu and white Zetsu, absolutely. Ju's face is very bad. Because the white Zetsu clone had just sent the news back to the land of rain, the battle at the White Crystal Mine was over, Hongguang broke through the siege and disappeared without a trace, and the Sunagakur Puppet Master Legion suffered heavy losses, at least half of the puppets were damaged, and there were still hundreds of puppets. The teacher died. Another incredible achievement. I think in a few days, the legend of Hongguang alone defeated the Sunagakur Puppet Master Army will spread throughout the entire ninja world. It is absolutely disgusting. If Hongguang does such a thing again, then Konoha's side is really robbed of the treasure house. How meaningful is it? Really hope that Uchiha Madara can make up his mind to kill Hongguang, although Kyuubi, Nine Tails, in Hongguang's body will also die, but Kyuubi, Nine Tails, can be resurrected. But Uchiha Madara's mind is very strange, and even he can't figure out what Uchiha Madara is thinking, or what is he waiting for. Damn it! Jubit Kiba cursed and disappeared. In front of the secret road. The fast-running turn-to-bed road stopped abruptly. The distance is almost there. Turning to bed, he said even more, raising his hands to hand seal. Sudden. A ghostly figure generally appears behind the bedroom. Whisper. The dark palm penetrated the body of Xuanxi Dao Zheng from behind, and passed out from the front of Xuan Dao Zheng, holding his bloody heart. Damn it! Murmuring for a lifetime, that heart was suddenly crushed.